Hello and welcome to episode 206 of the Round Nintendo Podcast. I'm Jason.
And I'm Angel.
And we're calling this episode It's a Me, the Maker, in honor of, in honor of what else? Super Mario Maker 2. So, I'd say it's probably Nintendo's single biggest release thus far in 2019, and we've got impressions of that coming up later in the show. I know, it's kind of a late start for Nintendo this year, isn't it?
Oh, more like that's their biggest release.
Oh, so far,
yeah.
Yeah, because they've had, like, nothing else.
No, I know, yeah.
But we're also going to be sharing another big game. What were you going to say?
No.
Yeah, it's very dry. Usually by now we have at least one or two.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We literally got, like, Yoshi, and then, was Yoshi even this year? No. That was last year. What did we get this year besides Labo?
Nothing. It's like there's been games coming up, but they've all been multi-platform, and I've been
getting Yoshi was this year. Yoshi was this year.
It was February, probably.
It was March, yeah.
Or March.
Well, but we don't have impressions of Yoshi. We just have impressions of Mario Maker. What were you going to say?
No, I think that game just came and went.
Yeah, seriously. But we also have impressions of another game that's not big in terms of, like, scale, but big in terms of its impact, which is Cadence of Hyrule, the very first indie game that has access to a Nintendo IP, which is interesting. And, actually, in rarity for us, we have hardware impressions with Genki's Bluetooth adapter for the Switch. So, yeah, that's a lot of impressions, but in total, like, infomercial style, there's more. We were also at Anime Expo, so and we were one of the first audiences in the world, I believe, to see the 3D remake of the first Pokemon movie. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have thoughts on a whole host of news and from Anime Expo and games and the mobile scene and beyond. So timestamps, as always, round10.com on the blog post, under this on the YouTube video. And you do probably want to stick around to the end if you entered our Twitter E3 swag giveaway, because we're going to be announcing the winner here, even though we hosted it there, because that makes as little sense as most of what we do does. So, you know. But anyway, to start, let's talk about where we've been the past 4 days. The reason this episode is a day late, which is Anime Expo. I went to some of it, but you were kind of like living and breathing it, really, for the past 4 days.
I mean, Anime Expo, it's just like our other Comic-Con. Like, Obis and I have been doing it for definitely over 10 years. Obis at least like 13 years. But I don't know. I mean, we watch enough anime that it's just always fun to go and discover like what new shows are coming out, or the shows that we did watch, like just seeing a bunch of merch that we would never ever get, because I guess Japan just loves to merchandise the heck out of everything, and the US doesn't really do that.
Well, depends on the show. Stranger Things has 70 tie-ins with brands. 70. So some do, but a lot don't.
Yeah, and even then, I would still say that that's like almost non-existent compared to like
Japan, where it's
compared to like what Japan does with like a lot of their properties.
Yeah,
like almost like to excess. Like you'll have doilies of like you have doilies for Dragon Ball all the way to like 5 foot tall like statues. Like it's crazy. Like they literally, there's like no in between for them. And in the US, like I mean, yeah, we do have a lot of stuff. And I was gonna bring up Pokemon, like but that's Japanese, so it's like
yeah. I mean, if you want a good example, but all the stuff we do is like pop-up stuff or like limited time things, like the Game of Thrones promotions, or it's like get the special Johnny Walker, or get the special Oreo, or get the special.
But they do that,
and then they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest thing we have to that are those Funko Pops, because they're just endless.
Yeah,
but it's only one item.
Yeah, but then it's just Funko Pop. Yeah. Well, regardless, it's fun. We get to try out games. Sometimes like Capcom will show up randomly, and we'll get to try Ace Attorney before it comes out. Sometimes
there is a video game like current.
Yeah,
I mean, which is why I go. I honestly don't watch much anime.
Yeah, he likes Pokemon though. But yeah.
I do.
I mean, you get like a lot of those like mainstay. You get Arc System Works. You always see like the Dragon Ball Fighter Z. That's where I got to see a lot of like 999 and Virtue's Last Reward, like those kind of games.
Nicholas is there this year.
Yeah, so Way Forward usually has some kind of precedence, just because I guess anime loves them.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah, so I don't know. It's a good fun convention.
It is fun because like
got to play Smash Brothers and just like.
I feel like every convention just. So what'd you do at the convention? What'd you do at E3? What'd you do at Anime Expo? What'd you do at Comic Con? We're talking in the future now. Played Smash Bros. Like I guarantee it's gonna be the three.
Yeah, it was just like some guy just had a booth and he was just like playing people one stock.
Hold on, he set up his own booth just to challenge people to Smash Bros. Because that's amazing.
He represented something. Like I mean, I didn't really pay attention to what his booth was about. Yeah. It looked like he's not just a guy that plays Smash, but it looks like he's like a content creator of some sort. Mm-hmm. Like he has like a brand and everything. Yeah. But I just cared about the Smash Brothers. He's like, all right, let's see who could beat me. Like here's this line, and then everyone before me like kept losing, and he's like, oh, good try. And then I go in, I just beat him.
Did you win anything?
He gave me some high chews, and I mean, I guess I wrecked his career. That's not good.
High chews and a career destruction. That seems like a fair prize. But yeah, it's funny because like to me at least, Anime Expo, like it's kind of like the eye of the convention season storm to me because I have like E3, which is big,
I see it as
and then Comic-Con which is
pre-gaming.
big. Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of just smacking those like Anime Expo.
You get the congestion of Comic-Con, but not really the scope of Comic-Con.
Yeah,
like it's like a little smaller, like just size-wise.
Like it's bigger attendee-wise. Or no, it's about... Actually, I take that back. It's a little smaller, too. It's about 100,000.
But even then, like, I mean, that's still kind of nuts considering just, like, what a compact space it's in. Because Comic-Con, like, is kind of spread out there in the entire, like, downtown San Diego.
Yeah.
This is just literally in the convention center. So you definitely feel like a can of sardines sometimes.
Oh, yeah. And like, the thing is, like... I mean, how would you rank them? Like, because in my mind, in terms of, like, scale... Well, even though not attendance, but in terms of just, like... I don't know. Like, to me, it just goes, like, E3, Comic-Con... Well, E3 and Comic-Con kind of neck and neck. Maybe Comic-Con, E3, Anime Expo. In that kind of hierarchy. I don't know why I'm ranking by.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, what are you ranking them by?
I don't know. Like,
I mean, in terms of what you like, though?
I don't know. I think it's just, like, in terms of, like, magnitude. Like, impact. Like, because this one feels like, even though it's bigger than E3, it feels smaller than E3.
Well, that's
you know what I mean?
No, well, I mean, E3... I mean, Anime Expo, for me, feels more like a Japanese farmer's market.
Yeah,
like,
a very big one.
It's like the front row of booths are there to like advertise stuff to show you what's coming, like pretty much what you would see at E3 and Comic-Con. But I would say like 70% of the expo is just a bunch of vendors that import stuff from Japan here to sell you that stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to get anywhere. So I feel that's why like it doesn't feel like as like impactful or grand.
Right.
But I mean, if you do watch a lot of anime, like it's like the only place that we could get like our Mob Psycho keychains or Attack on Titan or whatever. But I mean, that's stuff like I care more about.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, obviously for me,
but I mean,
from the Nintendo perspective, it's significantly smaller. But there's still.
But I mean, given that, I would still agree with your Comic-Con E3 Anime Expo. Yeah. But obviously, it would be way different.
I think part of it,
in terms of which ones we like more.
I honestly think part of it is also that like even though Anime Expo's been around, you've gone how many years did you say? Like a bunch.
Almost a decade.
Yeah, and like it's big. It's 100,000 people. But I think part of the reason it always feels like it's less like like it's less of a thing is because like every year it feels like they don't know what they're doing. I don't know what this is. Like the first day of every year, they just don't know how to organize lines. They don't know how like set things up. By day 2 or 3, they figure it out. But you would think if you've been around for you've been going for a decade, you would think by like now they just know on day 1 what to do, and they wouldn't have to relearn every single year. But like we were sent to the wrong line for an hour, and like it was just chaos.
Well,
it took like 3 hours for people to get in.
Got something out of last year, which
well, last year was better. From my understanding. But 2 years ago was horrible, and this year was somehow worse than 2 years ago. Just getting in on the first day. Once you're past the first day, and all their staff go, oh, wait, we need to organize this and hire like people overnight and redo the lines. By day 2, 3, 4, it's fine.
I think every year
day 1, though, it's just like
maybe we can do it, but
I don't know. It's so weird because like when I went back yesterday, I went Thursday, I went Saturday. We're going Sunday. They record this. When I went back yesterday, it was so much better, which made it the same convention. Like, what changed? Why could they not do that day one? Anyway,
I mean, the convention does like it's slowly taking up more space. Like, it's slowly becoming what I had mentioned that Comic-Con already does.
Yeah.
Like before, it kind of just was like all in South Hall. Now it's like spreading. Like
now, West Hall is as much of a show floor.
You had all the South Hall, and then you had like one random room in like the 3rd floor that was the arcade area. Yeah. Then that small room slowly just engulfed all of West Hall. Now that's like this huge other thing.
West Hall's where, for those who know E3, when you watch it online or TV or whatever, West Hall is the Nintendo Sony hall, and South Hall is the third-party hall. So South Hall is physically the bigger hall, but they're both massive.
Yeah, and then now like even now like Crunchyroll's taking over like the Novo. Like they never really had anything off-site, which is kind of crazy.
And the Novo, for reference for the video game people out there, I feel like I'm just like a glossary for you, is where they do the E3 Coliseum every year. Continue.
Yeah. So it feels like it's only a matter of time before they start like doing other stuff. I mean, like taking over other things. And at one point they were considering moving to Anaheim. So
Anaheim is a bigger.
That ended up not happening. That probably would have been for the best, but I do kind of like it just being like a bus drive away. So.
Or a car drive, or a train ride, or.
Well, just the fact that I don't have to drive over there.
Oh yeah.
It's like really easy. Like we do that every year. Just go over there and back, and it's fun.
Yeah. So let's actually talk about like what was there.
So something that did kind of surprise me is. I typically don't really care too much about mobile games in general. Mm-hmm. I mean, especially like, I have my Switch. Why do I need to play some mobile games? And I mean, yeah, Hearthstone kind of counts, but you could also play on the computer. Hearthstone's kind of weird. Like, I don't even have it on my phone. I can't have it on my phone. It's too much of a problem.
And it.
Yeah, but then this year, like, but as I started playing that, and then as I've mentioned before, I got into Brawl Stars. I started like kind of keeping an eye on more on like just mobile games. Like, all right, there are some cool ones that I really do want to play, especially on my iPad. That's kind of where they're all living.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Capcom, like formally presents Tekken there, like their Hearthstone basically of main Capcom properties.
What's funny about that is it looks like a fighting game. The booth is like an arena. It looks like an E3 booth. It looks like they took an E3 booth and plopped it in the middle of a not E3. But me and one of our friends were walking up to it, and he's like, "Oh my god, what is this?" He's like, "What is this fighting game?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I've never heard about this." And it has like Mega Man X in it. Like, it's the best looking Mega Man in years. Like, he looks super cool. They have all the characters. Like, is this like Capcom Smash Bros? And we're like, whoa, we should check this out. And then we get closer, and my friend just goes, "It's a card game," and just like storms off. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt that. I thought that was kind of
on the other hand, my
You were
brother
excited
and I were
about it,
like, "Whoa, it's a card game!"
and
Like,
I was like, "Oh, it's a card
because
game."
like in this world, like I mean, like I'm currently just like I guess that I'm actively playing Smash Brothers. My brother, he sometimes plays Smash Brothers, but mainly Mortal Kombat. Like when you add another fighting game, it's a lot. You typically don't want to have like a bunch of games you're juggling at once that you're trying to get good at.
Right.
So having a card game is just kind of perfect. And I mean, I love Hearthstone. So if any property that I really care, I mean, I don't care about World of Warcraft. I've played enough Hearthstone now to the point where I guess I now have like nostalgic memories, like Deathwing and all these other characters that I'm sure if I played the original World of Warcraft, which I think is getting a remake actually, I'll have like reverse nostalgia where it's like, oh man, it's this guy from Hearthstone or it's this other guy.
Yeah.
Even though they obviously originated from there. But I mean, if Nintendo did this or Capcom, which is doing it, like it'd be mind blowing.
Right.
And the game is really cool. I love the fact that it's like when you do a trading card game, I mean, just the fact that it's digital, I love that you don't have to collect cards. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty generous with the in-game income. So you get a bunch of packs just for playing it normally.
Mm-hmm.
There's a story mode and a campaign, which is really cool for each character. But normally you take your turn, then you wait for your opponent to take a turn. And on online games, typically you always run into those opponents that pretty much run out the clock and just do their turn on the last seconds. And it's really annoying and it kind of makes you want to, like, I don't know, punch them through the screen.
Wow, you get aggressive. Okay.
Well, I mean, when you play enough, yeah. Because like, you do your turn, like you pretty much plan out your turn during their turn because you can't do anything during their turn. Mm-hmm. And then, unless like the card you draw really changes it, but most of the time it's just like, all right, I'm going to do this. Especially the first few turns. But then you still have the person running out like the whole 3 minutes. This one, both people are playing at all times.
It's
like,
real time.
Which is really cool. Like you put down a monster, and as soon as you put the monster down, they'll already start attacking automatically. They'll have like this little arrow that goes from your side of the screen to your opponent's side of the screen, and if it hits their character, they take damage. But if they put a monster, one of their own, on their path, it takes the hit, and you are protected. So you don't have to wait for your opponent, and you can actively react to anything they do at any time as long as you have the energy for it, which slowly builds up over time.
In many ways, it's because I played a demo too, and I was horrible at it because I picked a bad deck. But I was going to say, in many ways, it's kind of like Super Puzzle Fighter if Super Puzzle Fighter was a card game. Like the idea of like the real-time tug-of-war back and forth, it's that. They just took the idea of like Puzzle Fighter and were like, oh, card games are popular. What if we expand it to all of Capcom? And then that's how we are
That's cool.
Here.
I like that. I mean, according to them, it'll make every game last about 3 to 4 minutes, which
is great for mobile.
Which I think is really great. I mean, like I kid you not, like Hearthstone, the average game right now, like given the current meta and blah blah blah, it is about 5 to 10 minutes, unless you play against a warrior deck. And warriors, their whole strategy is play every single card they can. They pretty much don't try to kill you. They just try to survive as long as possible. And then they'll just find ways to keep adding cards to their deck. And if you're also playing a control deck, which just means you're just trying to survive as long as possible too, about 2 weeks ago, I played a game against a warrior that lasted about 40 minutes.
Yeah, for a mobile game, I mean that's also on other devices, so it's not as mobile. But like for Tekken, it's targeted at mobile, so it would be awful if it was 40 minutes.
That's ridiculous. Like 40 minutes is way too much, and I ended up losing in the end, which is like makes the 40 minutes feel like even more of a waste. Yeah.
I do think Tekken makes sense. I honestly think Tekken makes sense on Switch, and I say that for 2 reasons. One, Capcom is so port happy on Switch that why not? And two, the whole game is already horizontally oriented.
I feel like
it's one of the few smartphone games that actually feels more native to a 16:9.
I feel like it would have to be like touchscreen only though.
Yeah. But I mean, so does Hearthstone if ever. So does Elder Scrolls card game when it arrives.
Because I mean, like, it would obviously look like awesome on a TV, and I mean, I guess like it's actually on PC because they had streamers playing it. Because I mean, mouse and keyboard. Like,
no, they were playing streams of the mobile game. You can stream mobile games.
Really? Huh.
It only said iOS and Android.
Well, because I saw like the streamers like in the booth, and it looked like they were playing on a computer.
Oh, maybe they're only advertising it as iOS.
I mean, I haven't really like fact check that yet.
Right.
I mean, if it is available on PC, point is like there are some mechanics like because you could you drag your monsters to your 1 to 3 lanes to block attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like say you have like 2 energy and you're waiting for 4 energy to play a monster to block an incoming attack, and like you think it's gonna be close. Like by the time I build up my 4 energy, I have like less than a second to drag the monster over to the lane to block the incoming attack. Then, like dragging it with your finger, it probably can't get any faster than that. So that's probably why I feel like they can't really put it on anything that uses like buttons and controls.
Right. Only mobile, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So
it's produced by Gung Ho. They've also brought games to Nintendo before. Puzzles and Dragons. That was originally only mobile.
Yeah, they're working on the Ninja Kids Bubblegum.
Ninjala.
Sure.
Which got delayed a year. It's supposed to be out this year. Now it's at 2020.
Well, yeah, I heard they were like addressing a lot of concerns that people had that played the demo. I mean, it's a cool looking game. It's
Splatoon with bubblegum and bats.
Mm-hmm. It's just clunky.
Yeah.
Which is what everyone thinks. Like for a game that's supposed to make you feel like a ninja running around walls, it feels. You feel more like
the person cleaning up after the ninjas or something.
Yeah, you feel like a ninja tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess like besides that game, I mean,
there were a lot of mobile.
Yeah,
games.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of like Mob Psycho 100, which is a great. I mean, if you like anime, you should play that game. I mean, you should watch that show. It's only like 24 episodes total.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, like that has a game coming. Attack on Titan, which I also love, has a game coming.
Yeah.
Then there's like 2 other games on mobile. There's like one based on. It's by the people that made Regalia Lost. It's like their version.
Yeah, Side Games. It's that's the company. Not
I forget what it's called, but
it's Fate. It's not them.
Yeah, that one also it looks interesting. Like I played it, and then there's also like a Ruby game that's like another match 3, but it's kind of different than other match 3s because like you I guess have to incorporate like their powers from the shows, and I don't know.
It looks, if anything, it looks like Crystal Crashers from Nicholas.
Well, that one is straight up puzzle fighter.
Right. Yeah, but it kind of.
Yeah, because the other one is single player. But
gotcha.
Yeah, and then
Crunchyroll's publishing so Crunchyroll has a whole video game arm. That's what that is. All those games minus Teppen are all, and the Side Games one obviously. Which, by the way, Dragalia Lost actually has a booth. We should swing by it today. But
and of course, like there's a new Tales game coming out, which is just for
Tales
mobile.
of Croatia, as you texted me the name. It's not Croatia. Yeah, something. But you definitely sent me Croatia, and I was
I saw the trailer, and then they threw in like a bunch of main characters from other Tales games, so I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a Fire Emblem Heroes kind of deal, or if it's like its own thing, and then these other characters, I guess you could summon for like bonus stuff, kind of like how I guess you could get a Monado boy into Xenoblade 2. I forgot his name actually. Shulk. How you could get Shulk into Xenoblade 2.
Or if you want to keep on the mobile theme, if you buy Fire Emblem 3 Houses and you have it linked to your My Nintendo account, Nintendo just announced you will get the star of that game in Fire Emblem Heroes just by having your account linked. So they're starting to do that too. Everyone's doing that.
Yeah, so a lot of more games than I expected.
Yeah, but what's funny is like there's more games, but so far
to a place that I didn't expect.
Yeah, so far not much on Nintendo scene. Sometimes, as you said, Capcom was there with Nintendo games or whoever. But what is funny is like we didn't have the games from Nintendo, but we had the properties.
I mean,
from
Nintendo was there. They had Indivisible on the Switch.
That's true. There's some. There were
a few Switch demos like from Nicholas and
like Nicholas had a booth. Axis Games had a booth. Yeah, however you say it. Axis Games had a booth. But it's funny because like Nintendo themselves, a couple years ago, were just randomly there. They weren't, but their properties were definitely there because one of the biggest events that we went to during the convention, like it was one of the big things they did this weekend, was the I think world premiere, that's what one of the directors called it, of Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, which is the 3D remake of the original, what we know as Pokemon the first movie. And what was interesting about it is this is, I believe, the very first time that the Pokemon Company has actually let a Japanese version of any of the animated shows, be it the anime or now the CG, be shown outside Japan in official capacity. They actually made a custom subtitle thing. I don't know what it's called. Custom subs. It's not dubbed. It's not dubbed because there's no voices.
Custom subtitles.
Yeah, custom subtitles just for this screening.
It's funny because
and it's unclear if they're ever going to release it properly or if this was just for us or what. But yeah, we got to see it.
Yeah, I watched Pokemon the first movie so many times that I mean, I guess like as I was watching the movie, I guess it kind of worked out because like
you can actually do a comparison in your head.
There were a lot of like. I mean, I remember so many of the lines and a lot of the at least in the subs, like they were like they pretty much just copy pasted the dialogue. Like a lot of it was just
the whole movie was kind of copy paste. I mean,
I know,
the infamous.
I know, like down to like
The Pikachu slap fight was like shot for shot.
Oh, well, I mean, like...
Which had to be. It was iconic.
Well, I mean, like, besides, like, just, like, a bunch of scenes, like, just... The whole movie was shot for shot. Like, they took every scene.
There was one, like, Bulbasaur fighting scene that was not in the original. Like, when they're eating the picnic and Bulbasaur's, like, fighting something. I don't remember that in the original. That wasn't it. Was it?
Yeah.
Is it really shot for shot?
Yeah, the only thing that's different...
Armored Mewtwo for 5 seconds.
No, that was also in there.
No, but the design's different.
Yeah,
that's why they're making it a thing. He's in Pokemon Go now. It's a big deal, yada, yada.
Yeah, the design is different, but everything he did was still identical. The only thing that was different was that instead of Team Rocket, like, pretending to be Vikings, they were driving, like, a Lapras boat.
Oh, yeah. And apparently, like, I was reading some Twitter impressions after just to see what people thought, and apparently there's a reference to a move that was introduced in Gen 3 in the dialogue, according to someone. So they did do the tiniest of changes to make it more canon with current Pokemon.
They shortened, like, there's a scene where, like, Mewtwo's playing, like, on a windmill, and in the original it goes on for, like, maybe 15 seconds, and this one it goes on for, like, maybe 5.
Yeah.
But then in the first one, like, when Venusaur is fighting Venusaur, in the original one, Venusaur just, like, throws out his Razor Leaf. The other one, the clone does Vine Whip and grabs him and picks him up, and that's it. Right. And this one, they actually throw out, like, they throw Energy Ball, which didn't exist in Gen 1, and then Venusaur does Leaf Storm, which didn't exist until Gen 3. Right. And that's what killed it. Yeah. Yeah, so, like, they sent some stuff, but then there were other things that I was like, wow, like, did they really just, like, have the animated one, like, on the side? Because, I mean, you could reimagine, like, some fights and still have the plot progress in the same way. But, like, every little, like, movement that Pikachu was doing when Pikachu was dodging, like, the clone Pokeballs. Right. Like or again, the slap fight. Yeah, like, well, I mean... That was shot for shot, too. Well, I mean, everything was. But, like, I mean, like, it just bothers me, like, how close to, like, shot for shot it was. Like, I mean, I guess it doesn't bother me, but it's just, like... It seemed like a waste, too. It was kind of like, that's interesting that they didn't bother taking any... They did a couple, like, swooping cameras, I don't remember. Were those all in the original? Like, when they swooped the camera through the fights, when they swooped it around things, or... I mean, there were cuts, but, I mean, it pretty much achieved the same thing. That's, like... Right, but... That's why watching this movie was, I guess, interesting, because, like, I've been wanting to rewatch... As many times as I've watched the original, it's been a couple years since I've actually seen it. Yeah. But I still remembered it, but it's like, all right, I want to rewatch it. So then rewatching this, because it was so identical, it's like, I guess I don't really need to rewatch it. What's funny about your complaints is you ducked out before the Q&A started, but someone asked him. It. I mean, I know, it was good. It was good. It's literally like you've seen it already. Let me put it that way. So however you feel about Pokemon the first movie, that's how you feel about this. But what I was gonna say is it's funny because your point about how it's shot for shot basically is like someone asked a question to the two directors were there, as was the voice actress of Ash, or Satoshi as he's known in Japan, and they were asking why 3D, and the answer, I'm just going to read it to you because it does not really mesh with anything you're saying, which is what's kind of funny. It's been our plan to use 3D animation on Pokemon movies for some time now. We felt that using 3D animation technology, we could portray an extra level or dimension of the Pokemon world that maybe would be a little different to do with a more conventional method. We felt that there's a level of depth and interesting imagery we were able to achieve thanks to 3D technology. It sounds like they didn't do any of those things based on your side. Because when I watched it, I was like, ooh, swooping cameras. Yeah, I mean, to your point, they didn't really do much else. Because, I mean, like, sure, like, the shots look dynamic. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's still doing the same thing that the 2D camera did. Like, it didn't really give me any new perspective. There literally is depth. Yeah. He's right. But even then, there's no new dimension. And literally there's a new dimension. Because the thing about it is, like, when you reminisce about something, like, especially right after you've done it, like, that's usually where I feel like those things have to, like, cling or, like, stick. Like, oh, this is, like, whoa, this is what made it different. Yeah. But when I just go back and think about it, it's just like, oh, it's just the first movie. Like, I can't really... Yeah, man, my memories for it. Then again, by definition of its existence, it's Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. That's the Japanese name of the first movie, Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back. They literally just evolved it into 3D. They did nothing else. They did not try and trick anyone here. They're being very straightforward. It is the... See, I don't even know if I'd call it an evolution. It's more like Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Plus. The way... New Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, plus implies there's more to it. I mean, if they were going to do this, they might as well just added, like, Pikachu's Vacation to it. I thought it was, like... I was kind of hoping they would do that, actually. But they're the way I described it on Twitter afterwards was it's basically the video game. It's like when movies do remakes, they're usually different. This was like the video game remake of a movie. They made better graphics. They improved the audio,
And they have like a couple Easter eggs for fans thrown in as a bonus. Like there's a great little, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who sees it, but there's a great reference to the American Pokemon cartoon that's not the Japanese one.
Because of the subs?
No, screw it, I'll just spoil it. There's a Who's That Pokemon joke, which was very specific.
That was in the original.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yep.
I thought it was exclusive to this one.
It was in the original.
Okay, they didn't.
I'm telling you, that's
All
everything was the same.
So it's literally just better better graphics, quote unquote, and better audio.
Yeah, and I feel like the quotes are very appropriate because like some effects I actually kind of like how they look better in 2D, honestly.
Interesting. And this is kind of from an animator's perspective, so this is legitimate feedback.
I don't know, like some of the particle, I don't know, I just thought like something just looks cooler. Like I don't know, something about like hand-drawn fire just looks a lot nicer. Like when it's like animated correctly. And
I don't know, Rapidash looked pretty cool in this.
Oh no. I mean like the fire, like flamethrower and that kind of stuff. No, yeah, the Rapidashes look pretty cool. But
I will say, at first
go
ahead.
Yeah, but some stuff like obviously did look better in 3D. I mean, the closest video game thing I could come up with is this is more of a Crash Insane Trilogy equivalent, because I mean it's the exact same game, everything's in the exact same spot. If you play the first one, you already know whether you like it or not.
Yeah,
everything just looks better. Yeah, maybe this is what some people remember the first one looking like because of nostalgia goggles.
Right.
I mean, Crash, honestly, like Insane Trilogy, that's kind of how, like, if you were to think back about Crash, like, oh, I remember playing that game, that's kind of how you would probably picture it in your head.
And then you look at it in real life, and you're like, what? And then you go play it on PS1 Classic, which is now only $16 at Best Buy.
But Resident Evil 2 Remastered or Rari Remake is not, since that game is the first game, but pretty much done in a completely original and new way.
Right. I will say, one thing I was pleasantly surprised by is I thought the humans looked kind of weird in the trailer. They were fine in reality.
They definitely did. They did a good job making them look like their age. Like Ash and Misty definitely look like 10-year-olds or whatever.
You know what the whole thing had kind of a vibe of? Honestly, it kind of reminded me. So the environments were great. Those looked like almost photorealistic. The Pokemon looked good. The water looks fine. But what actually surprised me is when you combine them with those characters, I got a very distinct 1970s Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman thing. You know what I'm referring to? Like those kind of like stop motion-y animations they did in the 70s. That, just the combination of like the real environments with those like kind of
cartoony
fake characters, like it felt very much like that to me, which isn't a knock against it at all. I think it was kind of a cool look. But yeah, because the world was so real and the Pokemon kind of blended in with that, and then you had these characters be like, hi, I'm the 10-year-old that's also very cartoony.
So I wonder for the next decade they're just gonna do a whole evolution line of movies, just remake every movie up until the point that they catch up, and then going forward they're all gonna be CG.
No, because they announced to us after the thing when you already left that the next movie in 2020 is 2D again. It's called Pokemon with You. Oh. Yeah, so this is just a weird one-off.
Isn't that the sequel to the Pokemon I Choose You movie?
Possibly, but either way, it's an animated one. Well, they haven't said if it's a sequel. Because I know they've announced in Japanese. I don't know.
Because I know they've already announced the sequel, and I want to say what's called Pokemon with You.
Oh, well, either way, they're doing a 2D one in 2020, so maybe they're going to alternate now. I mean, maybe they're going to do like the games, and they'll do a new one, then a remake, then a new one.
I'm sure that one was already in production, and they just had to wait for this one to come out and just see how
it
is.
That was actually kind of cool thing about the screen is, never mind the movie being shot for shot, which was good for what it was. It just was what it was. They had a bunch of stuff for us there afterwards. Like, they had the reveal of, Armored Mewtwo being in Pokemon Go. That was to us. They had the first tease of next year's movie, which some people care about. And they had the Q&A. And then they had the Japanese voice actor for Ash, or Satoshi, Rika Matsumoto. I had to write her name down. I don't remember that. But she actually did a live performance of a Pokemon song. I guess she recorded for the Japanese show, and it's well known within the fandom that watches the Japanese version. So that was kind of cool for those people that are into that. She did the whole song on stage and did a call and response and everything, and then we took a big photo with Pikachu and yada yada. But it really did feel like an event versus just a screening, which was props to Pokemon Company for getting all their different pieces together to have Niantic sync up to get the Armored Mewtwo thing going and all that all in one event. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, there was stuff on the Nintendo side of things beyond just Pokemon. Even though we were saying it wasn't a big year for Nintendo, there's still stuff that kind of was Nintendo adjacent. You already mentioned it a little. Way Forward had a presence this year, and what caught my eye was actually just kind of their resurgence. They haven't gone away per se. They've been around, but both before and at Anime Expo, they had a handful of announcements and they've been very quiet lately. So it's kind of nice to see them announce a bunch of stuff. And the big one on the show floor was a collaboration with Arc System Works to revive the old River City Ransom games as a new game called River City Girls, which is coming to Switch and everything else. It basically flips the script to the original games. So instead of the girls being kidnapped, now the boys are kidnapped and need to be rescued by the girls. And they're going all the way in on hey, it's the girly version one. Like, they have a super poppy theme song. They have, like, it has, like, a totally different look. So there's, like, manga-inspired interstitials as you battle. There's fully animated, voiced anime cutscenes. I imagine they're being made by the same people that did that Shantae 5 one. Who is that? Studio Trigger? Is that the name of it? Yeah. I imagine it's the same people because they look stylistically pretty similar. But, yeah, it's kind of cool that, like, they're not just rebooting it, but they're like, okay, this is its own distinct thing. We're just kind of paying homage to the franchise.
Yeah, the game definitely looks like a really good beat 'em up. But, I mean, it's way forward, so...
Yeah, like, it's not really going to go wrong. I am kind of curious, like, what sort of depth it will provide, though. Because, like, 2D beat 'em ups, you know, they can get a little repetitive. And they're charging $30 for a digital version. They're promising a physical version after that. So I imagine...
but that's the thing, though. Like, if we find them repetitive... I mean, that's either you're either...
in it or you're not.
You're either in it or you're not, yeah.
But I feel like...
Because the repetitiveness is what some people, I would say, like...
Yeah.
I mean, that's what a beat 'em up is. You're just going left to right, basically doing something.
And they are adding layers that make it sound like it is going to be a bit more to it. I mean, there's 6 regions to explore, whatever. But they're also... like, have a whole new attack combo system. And you're going to be able to recruit NPCs, which is kind of interesting to fight alongside you. Some of whom are actually the stars from the other River City Ransom games. There's kind of that nod for fans. So, like, it does sound like there's going to be plenty. I don't know. I don't know if it has longevity for me personally. But I am curious what you thought about the fact that they're going back to sprites. Because they went hand-drawn for a while with their games. And now River City Girls is sprite-based. They have the animated cutscenes, but it's sprites. And as someone that's seen them evolve through sprites to animation, I'm curious.
Oh, I like it. I mean, they didn't always... I mean, they went with sprites for the Mummy Remastered, or Demastered,
yeah.
As they called it for some reason.
Because it was a down-res from the movie, which bombed. The movie, not the game. Well, probably both. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I heard the game was really, really fun. I mean, it's on my wish list, but, I mean, it's the 2D game, and, I mean... I don't know, 2D art is, like, really great when it's done right. So.
Right, and they're very good at it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I don't know, I prefer some games do, like, sprite-based versus hand-drawn, so... Like, I mean, if it were my choice, I would probably prefer that Shantae Half Genie Hero was still sprite-based. Because, I don't know, I feel like I like the look of Shantae and the Pirate's Curse more than Half Genie Hero. Half Genie Hero was still great.
Well, then here's a question for you, because one of the things they did at Anime Expo was release the Shantae 5 trailer. Intro. Animated thing. Yeah. So, what do you think of that? Because that is going further into that look.
Well, the thing is, like, if you're gonna do like 2D animation, you have to like go on. I feel like
you gotta go
on. The one when you're doing hand drawn animation for your games, you have to do like traditional animation. Like Flash animation for me, like just ends up. I don't know. I mean, someone can make it look really good. I mean, it looks.
You're trying to dance around without actually saying that. It feels kind of cheap, I think.
It has a kind of a shortcutty feel to it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it still looks great, and I get, like, they're pretty much recreating what would be done with sprites, but when I look at games like Wario Land Shake It and Skullgirls or Indivisible, like, those are all traditionally animated all the way through.
Right.
And they look amazing. Like, there's no, like, oh, I just have this head and I'm rotating it back and forth.
Right.
Because, I don't know, and, like, even, like, some people that I talk to, or my brother specifically, like, he'll notice like that kind of stuff, like oh, they're not really animating it, they're just rotating it.
Right.
But when you're hand drawing everything, like you see in the trailer, I mean, or in the intro, then it looks like, whoa, this like looks amazing. But there aren't that many games. There are very few games that do full on traditional animation where you have to redraw everything over and over again.
Because it's time consuming.
No, yeah, it is. And
I mean, Cuphead took how many years to make?
Look at Cuphead. Like if Cuphead did like hand drawn, but with like the Flash animation style, like it would look significantly cheaper, even if it played exactly the same. But
yeah, and I mean that's probably why they delayed the DLC.
Yeah,
because that was supposed to come out this year. Now it's 20.
Yeah, that's why. Right? I mean, if you do sprites, like that's cool.
Right. Because what were they calling the DLC? Like Last Course, Delicious Last Course, something like that.
But that Last Course.
Oh, that's clever. DLC, Delicious Last Course. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's delayed now because they are hand drawing and it takes time. You're right. But, there was one little thing in the Shantae trailer, actually, that some people got a little, I don't know about riled up about, but it caught some people's eye. You showed it to me yesterday. It's There's a Smash Bros logo upside in the sort of backwards and then forward in the trailer.
Yeah.
Do you think it means anything? To those who haven't seen it, it's a window of her house, and it's in the Smash emblem shape, and they show it from her side, so it's backwards, and they show it from the outside where it's forward. Do you think there's anything behind that, or do you think it's just a coincidence?
I think there's nothing behind that because the design of her house has always been like that. The angle probably just made it look that way, or maybe they intentionally made it that way, but it still means nothing.
It is a good way to build buzz.
They just wanted to get buzz.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think there's nothing behind it because Way Forward and Studio Trigger did it, and it's a multi-platform game. It just seems like we're reaching for straws if we're.
Not only that, but like Nintendo doesn't usually let the companies tease it. Like, think about Joker. That came out of nowhere. Think about
if the trailer was revealed during like a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, then for sure.
Then yeah.
But it's just like a random thing that was thrown out there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but and I mean it's fine because the timing would work. DLC 4 would be winter. Shantae 5 comes out winter. So those line up. But yeah, I think the fact that they didn't, like, Nintendo doesn't let them do these things, and certainly not on their own, so I doubt it. I think you're right. There was one other way forward thing which we should probably touch on, and that is a compilation of Mighty Switch Force for what else? Switch. And all the other systems.
You should get them.
Yeah,
I might get them again just to have them all in one place.
Yeah, I mean, how would you describe it? For people who haven't played Mighty Switch Force, because it's been a while since we've talked about it. It was like the early Wii U days and peak of 3DS is when these games were big.
Yeah, 3DS is where
they shine. Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like they're definitely better on 3DS.
Yeah, well, because they're made for it.
Yeah, I mean, they use like both screens in like many cases.
And they have the 3D effect because one of the whole things, you're switching Mighty Switch Force. You're switching blocks, and if you get an enemy on top of the block when you switch, it shoves them into the screen.
Yeah,
essentially, and it cracks the screen.
Essentially, you're switching certain blocks from the foreground to the background.
Yeah.
So when they're in the foreground, you could move on top of them. When they're in the background, you can't interact with them. And you get that death layer effect. But I mean, the gameplay is still really fun. It's just a puzzle platformer. You just run and jump and shoot.
Yeah, and you're like collecting, at least in the original, if I remember correctly, collecting like convicts or something around the map. So it's not just like a linear path. You're kind of going to find them.
Yeah, right? The Hooligan Sisters.
Yeah, Hooligans.
In the first game. And then as you're running and jumping and shooting enemies, you're also like you're switching between the platforms like simultaneously. So you have to be kind of quick about that. Yeah. And then occasionally you might get some platforms that don't change as you're standing on them. And then that kind of switches up the puzzle mechanics. Other levels will have them change automatically in intervals like every 2 seconds, so you have to be really quick about that. Mm-hmm. And then the second game, you're a firefighter, and
now you have a hose.
Yeah, now you're shooting water, and then that also like changes how it plays. And then the Hooligan Sisters are now like they're all working for you. I guess like you set them straight, and now they're fellow firefighters. Yeah,
and it doesn't need the 3D effect to be clear. Like, you sort of touched on this, but I played it on Wii U.
They just fade out. Essentially,
and it's totally fine because what the compilation comes with is the original, and then the HD remake Hyperdrive Edition, which is what I had.
Yeah,
and then the sequel, and then there's a fourth one called Mighty Switch Force Academy, which was never on Nintendo system before and is multiplayer, and is now going to be in the collection.
Yeah, the game isn't that long, but
no, they're all pretty short, but together it's a pretty decent amount.
How much
of content.
Is it?
I don't know if I want to say 20, maybe 30.
Wow, that's really cheap.
It might be 30, might be 20. One of those numbers that's less than 40 and more than 5 or 10. But yeah, no, it seems like if you've never gotten it, like it's a really good opportunity to jump in because I mean these games date back to like we're talking double-digit episodes for us. We're talking like episode 38 or 9 is when like Hyperdrive Edition came out. So like it's cool that they're bringing them back for a new audience, and it works out so well that it's on the Switch because it has it in the name. In fact, the trailer they did for it was really clever, where they're talking. Well, I forgot how's the wording of it.
The most impactful game of all time.
No, where it's like the so impactful a console is named after it or something like that. Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, but anyway, so that's coming down the pipe. So keep an eye out for that. And then My Switch Force was also in good company because another franchise we used to talk about an awful lot here on the show is also jumping to Switch and was also announced kind of in tandem with Anime Expo, and that is Professor Layton. Well, the spin-off of Professor Layton is at least, which has a mouthful of a name.
Lady Layton?
I wish it was called something that simple. It's Layton's Mystery Journey, Katrielle, and the Millionaires Conspiracy, which is just like 5 words too many, to be honest. But
this is an anime title?
It's very much an anime title. But
Jason learned today there's like titles that are like over a sentence long.
What was the one that you're like, this is a real thing? I'm like, no, it's not. You're like, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, you're kidding. And I turned around.
It's just that time.
Was it the slime?
Yeah, that time I got reincarnated as a slime.
Yeah, and he was saying it like, he's like, it's real. I'm like, ha ha ha, very funny. He's like, no, it's real. I'm like, ha ha ha. And then I turn around, there's a giant sign, and it's real.
Yeah, we literally have a book right here about that anime.
Oh, why is this here?
It's a passport. You're supposed to get a stamp at different booths, and you get like a lithograph or something.
Oh, gotcha. But yeah, what were we talking about? Layton. Yeah. Layton was announced going into Anime Expo. So Level 5 had a panel at Anime Expo, and they confirmed Yokai Watch 4 is coming to Switch. That was their big reveal of the show. But like in the days leading up, they're also like, by the way, we're bringing back Layton. It's going to be on TV for the very first time. Which if you think about, it's kind of wild that there's been so many Layton games, but they've never been playable on a giant screen. Only on an iPad. Yeah. But yeah, since you're a big Layton fan, I felt like between Yokai Watch and Layton, this is probably the one we should talk about of the two. It was previously on 3DS. It was previously on smartphones. But yeah, it's first time it's going to be on TV. First time that this version will be in HD. That means, obviously, it's going to have HD graphics. That's a given. But it's also going to have all the DLC includes. It's going to have 40 new puzzles. It's going to have refined, quote-unquote, from the press release, puzzles, which I assume means ones that were bad are now not. And it has 50 outfits that you can unlock to give to Katrielle. So there's that.
I'm so used to like playing Layton games on mobile or on a mobile device that playing them on a TV almost feels blasphemous. Like I don't know.
Well, that's the beauty of the Switch is there's a handheld mode.
Yeah, that is true.
What's funny, I think my favorite bullet point about the game, though, and it really just shows like how everything's cyclical, is they're hyping up an improved layout that puts all the puzzle information on a single screen. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the whole pitch of the DS and the 3DS that they spread things out across two screens so it's less cluttered? And now they're like, now it's improved because it's more cluttered. Yeah. It's just like, to quote, to borrow a line from True Detective, time is a flat circle. Like, everything's just cyclical. But anyway, yeah, Nintendo's going to be doing publishing duties on this one as well. It's out in November. Because clearly the back half of this year is not crowded enough. Nintendo clearly didn't leave the front half empty for no reason, I guess. But yeah, it's out November 8th. And yeah, do you think you're going to get it? Because it's different than normal Laytons. It doesn't have an overarching storyline. It's 10 or 12 individual cases that are self-contained because it was made mobile first.
I'll keep it on my radar. We'll see. So
why didn't you get it on 3DS?
This is too many games.
That's fair.
I mean, Smash Brothers, God of War, Resident Evil exists, so,
we should do some sort of checkbox. Like, do you have a checklist where you just make sure you name those 3 games? Because you pretty much do it every episode. It's impressive. But yeah, I'm surprised you're not like more gung ho about it. Because you were all about
Crash Team Racing. Like, I know we talked about last episode, but since then, that game got even way more. It's way more intricate than I ever thought it was. Apparently, there's like a whole like fuel reserve mechanic that I didn't know was a thing. Essentially, if you're boosting a whole ton, it keeps this like hidden. It has this hidden counter of just how much you're boosting, doing it every time. And if you happen to complete a 3-boost combo on a boost pad,
like you have to do the final boost on the boost. Oh, like you boost into the boost pad.
Yeah, like boost, and then as you're boosting, you land on the boost pad. Yeah. Before the boost runs out. So essentially, if you just go over a boost pad normally, like you're just playing the game, it'll last like maybe like 2 seconds, like it would on any other kart racing game. Mm-hmm. But in Crash Team Racing, if you're like, let's say you've done a whole lap of just crazy, like drift boosts, like anywhere you can, and then you take that boost. It is possible to have that whole boost last through the entire other lap as you're still drift boosting. And essentially, once you're
a long boost.
Yeah, so once you hit that boost, as long as you keep drift boosting without letting that flame go out, and you don't touch any walls, you can have like pretty much an infinite boost. And if you make it to another boost pad, you're essentially just like keeping it alive, essentially forever. So if you were to get at the game, like you're playing online, there's gonna be some people that you're just never ever gonna catch up to.
So you're saying.
The game is already even...
So you're saying... I know it's the wrong franchise. I realize it's the wrong anthropomorphic animals, but bear with me. You're saying you use the boost to get through.
Sure.
I'm so proud of that, even though it makes no real sense in this context. Yeah. No, you do. Use the boost to get through to the free boost. You have to boost to boost. Use the boost to get through to your goal.
Sure, yeah. Good job, Jason.
Thank you. I'm waving my hands in the air like I won a trophy.
Yeah, so... Yeah, that game is crazy.
So because of that, you're not getting Layton, potentially.
Potentially.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
I
I do find it surprising that, because you were so gung-ho on Layton back in the day, I'm kind of surprised that you're not. It's just like, yep, done. Well, Is it because it's like the different narrative and it's like not Layton?
I
directly.
only really cared about the Layton games up until they got to. I only got into Layton because of Phoenix, right? Because they had Layton cross Phoenix or Layton versus Phoenix a while ago. So I only really wanted to play the games leading up to that game.
You just need the backstory.
I mean, I like the games enough. I mean, like, they were kind of like Phoenix. Like, I mean, you had animated cutscenes, which are great. Yeah. And narrative-driven stories, and you do puzzles to progress instead of court cases, but I definitely preferred the court case side. Like, I like the franchise, but it's not like one I would consider like, oh, I gotta get all of them.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know why I never got into it. I don't think I really do brain teasers. Like, I don't think I like my brain being teased. I don't know. I never like that type of thing. Never resonated with me.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I will get to all of them eventually. Like, I'm still making my way through part 3, but there's like 4, 5, 6 that are all Professor Layton before we even get to
Katrielle and her. Let me scroll up to that long name again. Millionaires conspiracy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, beyond Layton,
or the Layton brothers, or whatever that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. That was their mobile only one. Yeah. But and that one got kind of reviews if I remember correctly. But anyway, beyond Layton, most of what Nintendo focused on these past few weeks actually meshes with your earlier point about how Anime Expo's game presence was very mobile heavy. Because all Nintendo did for the past few weeks is mobile. Like if E3 was the
Dragon Ball card game now, like
everything has a card
game.
Everything has a card game, but no, if Nintendo doesn't yet. But if you look at E3, that was like the big Switch blowout.
Pokemon. I mean, yeah.
Well, that one's okay because it already existed.
Yeah,
it's not.
I started playing the mobile game of that one too.
You did?
Yeah, the Pokemon trading cards.
How is that? Before we get to Nintendo's other mobile news,
it's funny because I mean, I've had a few Pokemon cards, but I never got into it or bothered to learn how to play it until a few weeks ago.
Wait, you never had played the Pokemon trading card game until a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
Do you realize you're talking to a multi-badge?
I signed your badges.
Trainer.
They're just 2.
That's multi. That's multiple.
I know. Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. That's why you said multi.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 2 badges. I am 1/4 of the way, if they still had that league going, to being a Pokemon trading card game master 15, 20 years ago.
No, it's surprisingly fun. It is. It's funny. It's both very simple to learn because like playing the first few like tutorial games, like all right, like this isn't that bad. But then I see my friend play online who's like really deep into it, and geez, like some of these strategies are ridiculous. Like, and I don't know. It's like for how as easy as it can get, it could also get just as complex, which I do really like about that. I just want to see if I could make a really good Chatot or Pinsir or one of those characters decks. So
I just can't believe you've never played it before a few weeks ago. I
mean, it never caught my attention. Like,
I guess.
I mean, like to me, like I typically like to play things as they're represented, as close as I can to the representation of the show, or whatever medium I'm watching it in. And the video game was that. So it's like,
wait. So what was your gateway to Pokemon? The show?
I don't know. I guess the show. I think it was the game.
But you didn't start playing. You didn't get the original game, did you?
I did. I said like I got Pokemon Blue when it came out.
Right. Oh, and then you lapsed. That's
and then I beat it and I was like, all right, that's cool, but whatever. And then I didn't get back into it until like Diamond and Pearl, and that's when like I really. That's like after breeding was announced, and and it was with way more.
You just needed that Pokemon sex to be a thing, and then you were all in, is what I'm hearing.
Well, the battle system just had to be more complex.
Yeah.
Like I like that they like branched off with like physical and special moves and that kind of stuff. I mean, in the first one, it was like the special and physical move were categorized by type. Right. Like normal was always a physical move versus poison was always like special, which didn't make sense for moves like Hyper Beam, which is clearly a special attack and not a physical one. But anyway,
it's fine because you definitely are all in for like specific things and the things you're interested in. Like I was like, ooh, Pokemon, and I was all about it.
Yeah, but like Pokemon, it's like, all right, you do 1v1 battles, whatever. Like in the card game, like it's like I'm not gonna have like 4 Charizards in my team. Like I just want to have the 6, and that's it. Like I just wanted to mimic the game. That's why I got really into Yu-Gi-Oh, because the show is a card game and the actual game.
Yeah, because I was never big on Digimon. I was never big on Yu-Gi-Oh because I just viewed him as wannabe Pokemon because I was so entrenched in Pokemon fandom. I know it's not. I know it's not.
Like Digimon, like at least the first season, because that's all I really watched. I felt like that was just like a better version of the Pokemon show because it had like a much better story.
Dude, I was blinded by fanboyism.
It felt like they actually tried in their narrative versus Pokemon. Like Pokemon just felt
Whoa! You know what's true? Shots fired.
The Pokemon is very formulaic.
Oh yeah. It was a procedural. Versus, it didn't have like an overarching story that mattered.
Digimon had like a narrative they tried to build like from beginning to end. Yeah. It wasn't like I got to be the very best. It was like how do we get back home? And
Digimon was the true detective to Pokemon's Law and Order.
Yeah. So anyway,
but I will say,
the trading card game. Yeah, it's fun.
When I was a kid, like when I saw Digimon, like I wasn't hate watching it, but I was definitely watching it like with a critical eye. Like, why are they doing this? Is just Pokemon, but the animals talk. This is just Pokemon, but like. Ash has goggles instead of glass. It has goggles instead of hat.
Anime Expo was a Digimon actually this year.
I've now come to understand their differences.
I bought a Tentomon that transforms into his.
It looks like It literally looks like a transformer.
Oh yeah, because it does transform.
Does it go do the sound?
No.
They
say their name and they like spin around like a bajillion times, and it takes like a whole minute because they have to save on animation.
And they digivolve instead of evolve, and I was just like, that's dumb. Like I'm telling you, I was so. Drunk on Pokemon as a child. Like I was such a Pokaholic that like anything that even resembled it. The only one I was like, oh, that's okay for some reason was Monster Rancher.
Really? That's the one that I was like,
I know.
I think that looked like a knockoff between both of them.
I think like, because it was so similar.
It's like Digimon and Pokemon drunkly had like a one
night stand and got that. It's their love child. No, I think for some reason something about the similarities was just like, oh, okay. Like it almost like it felt like home. I don't know.
Yeah. It was one or the other. I mean,
I was a child. It made no sense.
I feel like everyone liked Pokemon, and every once in a while you got people like me or our other friend that like also like Digimon.
Yeah.
But those that didn't, it's because they like Pokemon so much that they were like, eh.
Yeah. No, I was like blinded by Pokemon Faith. My one.
Yeah, like I like that the main characters like are actually like they actually grow and age like throughout the series, and you actually see like
cool.
they're actually at Anime Expo. They announced a movie that is supposed to be like the conclusion to like the original characters like story. That because I mean there was like a lot of they followed other characters, but now they're bringing it back to like they're adults now. Like what happened?
That's kind of cool. Also,
and it's like a movie, so like I want to actually see what
they also are bringing Pokemon Digimon Cyber Sleuth, both games. That's what it's called.
I've heard they're really good.
Both of them are coming to Switch in a 2-in-1 pack.
Yeah, I never got into the Digimon games, but I did like the show. But, yeah.
That's so interesting that you were the shows were your gateways, because for me it was like I watched the show because I liked the game. Well, I don't know actually. I was like 7. I don't know what led for. I know I got the game first. I think it was all just at once. The cards, the show.
I can't remember which game for the show or the game. It was probably the show, but I don't know.
I think it was the game. Well, I definitely remember my friend bought Pokemon Blue at launch and brought it to school and showed it to me, and then the next day I bought Red. So I guess it was the game.
I'm sure I saw someone with the game at school at some point, because I remember also taking my Game Boy Color to school to battle people.
And what's weird is now people don't necessarily bring their systems to school. They just bring their phones, and they're like, look at this new whatever I have on my phone, which is probably why, back to the point I was making before, every single thing at Anime Expo felt like it was phone related, and then every single thing that Nintendo's been doing since since E3 has been phone related. Because like I was trying to say, like if E3 was the Switch blowout, then like these weeks since have been like the more gentle build of smartphone game news. And, we talked about like how Fire Emblem, you'll be able to get the main character in Heroes if you buy the game, and it ranged from little things like that to like basically the entirety of Dr. Mario World being shown. So it was, for Nintendo, it was a very mobile centric couple weeks. I think my personal favorite thing Nintendo announced, which is the tiniest thing, it wasn't even an announcement, they sort of slipped it out there, is alcohol is now a thing in Animal Crossing World.
Oh yeah, vacation juice?
Yes, vacation juice. Technically it's not alcohol, it's vacation juice. Alcohol. But it's so alcohol. It looks like a tropical drink, fruit slices and all.
I mean, it's basically jungle juice.
Yeah. I mean, like, straight up. I mean, it gets the villagers drunk. I don't know if you guys have seen this, anyone listening, but there's a clip of Isabelle floating around where it sounds like someone was like filming her drunk, but literally there's a clip of Isabelle floating around where she's dancing or maybe flailing with these big paper fans in her hands after having a sip of vacation juice. And her eyes are half open. Like, that episode of Parks and Rec where they go to like the Snake Hole Lounge and they all drink snake juice and they do those rapid fire cuts of each of them being super drunk to the camera? That's basically what this is. Like, that's where we're at now in Animal Crossing. And what I really hope happens, like really, really hope, is with New Horizons also being set on an island, it's also a vacation. Maybe Vacation Juice makes its way into HD. Maybe we get 1080p drunk villagers next year in March. Wouldn't that be great? That'd be so great. Or maybe they introduce other substances, too, for them to abuse. Maybe a big part of New Horizons, which does sound like a rehab center in name, is that you have to rehabilitate your villagers after they go on wild benders. Mm-hmm. All off vacation juice. It'd be great. But anyway, yeah, I just thought that was super funny, and I love that Nintendo did that. But anyway, real mobile news. Dr. Mario World. Let's talk about that. In the time it's taken Nintendo to announce Mario Kart Tour, to do a beta test of Mario Kart Tour, and then to still not have released Mario Kart Tour, we're going to be going from nothing to a full release of this upcoming Dr. Mario game, which is a mobile-first Dr. Mario game, which is significant. It's not just Dr. Mario. Like, it was first unveiled, a couple weeks ago, sometime in June. And then we got actual details these past weeks on how it's going to work. And yeah, this is a rethinking of Dr. Mario for mobile. But I think what's actually most important, at least for you, Angel, is Bowser's playable, and he has a medical degree.
Yeah, that's amazing. Dr. Bowser is definitely a plushie I hope exists at some point.
I'm sure it will, because they could do a whole line of plushes, because every
that's right,
single...
it's Japan. Of course they will.
Oh, yeah, of course. It'll be at Anime Expo next year. Yeah. But yeah, every single inhabitant of the
Japan
mushroom...
when we go in 2021.
In 2021, yeah. We have to go to Anime Expo in the year between those. So.
That's true. There's two, potentially.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's just crazy that everyone in the Mushroom Kingdom now has medical degrees. There's Dr. Peach, there's Dr. Yoshi, he has a snazzy little medicine bag, there's Dr. Luigi. I noticed in the multiplayer trailer, there's at least a couple of the Koopalings who are also now doctors. Like, I imagine the Mushroom Kingdom has the shortest wait times in emergency rooms now. Because, literally everyone's a doctor. You don't even have to go to emergency room. You just go downstairs, and whoever lives with you somehow is a doctor, apparently. But anyway, the reason for all these new doctors is that Dr. Mario World, as I started to say, is not just a smartphone entry of Dr. Mario. It is a rethinking of what Dr. Mario is in the mobile sense, for better or worse. Me too. I thought it was going to be a straight up...
It's it's not just Dr. Mario backwards.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a straight up Dr. Mario, but no, it's like a whole thing. So each of those doctors, they actually have special abilities, and you use those to help clear your board of viruses, either in single player or if you're playing against friends online in real time, which is a cool feature. Like Dr. Peach, she can clear a line at random, a full line of viruses. Dr. Toad, he can remove random objects on the board, I think up to 5. Yoshi can do 3. They all have different strengths and weaknesses. They're all triggered by the player with a special move meter that you tap. But they also have somewhat... Here we go. Here comes the gotcha. They also have attack and defense levels, which influence how many garbage pills you can fill your opponent's screen with, or defend when your opponent tries to fill your screen. And I bet you can't guess how you unlock those doctors.
By waiting?
No. Randomized draws.
Oh.
Yeah. It seems to use, just like every single mobile game, a mix of in-game currency or currency you can buy with real money, which means that they have 100% gotcha Dr. Mario. There's coins you can spend, which are earned in-game, or you can use purchasable diamonds, and then use those on coins to get characters. And on top of that, there's also in-game items that give you temporary stat boosts. And there's hearts, because, there's a stamina meter here, too. I'm so distraught that I can't even form sentences or words anymore. No, it's not that bad. I mean, compared to Mario Kart Tour with its triple gotcha, it looks like, as far as I can tell, there's only a single gotcha. So that's good. I did just see on their Twitter the other day, they announced assist characters. I don't know what that is exactly. It seems like you can have Koopas and Goombas help you in some capacity, and I would not be surprised if those are either for purchase or gotcha'd as well. But we're still only at 2 gotchas, not the 3 gotchas in Mario Kart Tour, so it's still not as bad.
I know where they're called gotchas, but I feel like they should try to come up with a different name.
I know.
Because it totally sounds like they're just making fun of the buyer, gotcha. Mm-hmm. You paid for our thing.
Well, technically they don't. That's just the colloquial gamer
term. No, I know.
Term.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, I think they call them more randomized... Well, if they call them loot box, they'd be in a whole nother field of hurt, world of hurt, so I don't know. But, I think the most egregious act of this whole thing is...
The prize mechanic.
Yeah, the prize mechanic. There you go. But you know what the most egregious thing is? It's not the gotcha. Like that, I figured there'd be some level of that. I think it's the fact that the pills rise bottom up, not top down. Like, what? It's true in both single player, where you need to hit certain clear conditions to beat the stage, and it's true in multiplayer where it's kind of just an endless mode. But it's just wow, what? That's not Dr. Mario, that's Dr. Wario. They literally flipped it upside down. But I actually don't think, in the grand scheme of things, in all honesty, I do get it. I'm being a little facetious with the egregious acting. If you have it bottom up, you can play with one hand. You can use your thumb to move the pill where you want it to fall or rise. But that kind of is also undermined by the fact that you can now drag and drop the pills anywhere on the screen at any time and tap them to rotate. You don't even need to wait for them to fall. You can literally just place them where you want. So they're doing the bottom up thing presumably so you can play one-handed, but then you still need to let go of your phone or use your other hand to actually fully do it. So I'm kind of like, why did they just do it top down and keep it that way? But it seems moot, you know? Like, it kind of cancels out the advantage. But anyway, I don't know. Are you going to check it out? It's free. Comes out on the 10th. Yeah.
No reason not to.
Yeah, I am kind of like, I'm just curious to try it. Like, I am in a weird way looking forward to it. Because it is out on July 10th, so it's mere days from now. And Nintendo's been, I'm really curious, like, what the production values of it are. Because Nintendo, in the lead-up, has been doing these daily 15-second videos starring the 3 viruses. There's Red, Blue, and Yellow, which used to be named Fever, Chill, and Weird in the old Dr. Mario comic, but then was officially brought in as canon in Dr. Mario 64. I can't believe I'm talking about Dr. Mario canon. But anyway, they changed the names, which is dumb. But anyway, the shorts are very... Have you watched any of these? How would you describe these? They're not great.
They're not bad.
They're not bad. They're just... You know what?
They
they fit the name of the yellow guy. They're weird.
They exist.
They exist. They're strange. We'll put a link to the playlist of all of them in the blog post. But yeah, they're all... Like, I can't tell if they're low effort intentionally or what. But, like, the voice acting and the animation and, like, the general premise of each is just so... They exist. That's the way I put it. It's just kind of strange. Like, red is the cool one. Yellow is the dumb one. Blue is this kind of British, properly speaking guy. I don't really know. But beyond that, like, their mouths aren't synced, which is fine. That's not a big deal. But, like, the voice acting is really flat. It's strange. There's one video where Blue literally says the exact same line twice. And it's only 15 seconds long. So, like, how I can't... Or even just the way, like, the announcer says Dr. Mario World. Like, I think I'm going to refer to the game in his tone from now on. He's just so enthused. He's always like they do the thing, and it ends with him going, Dr. Mario World. This is like, why are you not more excited about your game, random man? So, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It's very strange. I can't tell if they're, like, purposely making him kind of cringy to get attention that way or what. But it's just funny because, like, if you contrast them with the other big mobile game that Nintendo and, well, really Pokemon Company have been pushing these last couple of weeks, which is Pokemon Masters. If you contrast how Dr. Mario is being promoted with those videos, and then you go look at Pokemon Masters, which got a full 4-minute, fully animated, fully voiced trailer of all the trainers, it's just such a stark difference. It's just kind of funny. Which actually brings us to Pokemon Masters, unless you have any other thoughts on Dr. Mario.
Not really, just looking forward to it. Doesn't look too complicated, but looks like it could get complicated enough just to be entertaining.
It honestly does look like this could be the first, like, real home run of a mobile game for them. Because, like, there was some stat I saw the other day that the average Candy Crush player, or not the average, but there's, like, some stat that there's some Candy Crush players that play 3 hours a day. Like, a large number of them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So there's an audience for these sort of simple puzzle games. And if you have the Mario license on top of that, and if you put Bowser in a doctor suit, I'm pretty sure you have a hit on your hands. So, yeah, I honestly think, you know, silly promotional videos aside, those virus vids are weird, but that aside, this could be a big game for Nintendo, possibly in some ways bigger than Mario Kart Tour, because it'll appeal to a broader audience, I feel like. So, because, you know, there's, you know, your grandma's not going to play Mario Kart Tour, but a lot of grandmas play Candy Crush. And a lot of grandmas may play Dr. Mario.
Yeah, the grandma market is very important.
It is. It's a huge market. It doesn't seem like it, but that's how those numbers about, like, how 2/3 of Americans play video games are true, is through stuff like Candy Crush and whatnot, and the grandmas. Yeah. But anyway, Pokemon Masters. This definitely does not appeal to the grandmas. This is more for the fans of the show. Actually, to our conversation earlier, to the point of the conversation earlier about how do we get into Pokemon, this really applies to all of that, I feel like, because it has all the trainers from games, but they're all in their animated show form, so it's kind of like combining things. But anyway, yeah, they did a mini Nintendo Direct style video, I guess you could say, where they explained the ins and outs of the game. And Angel, your theory about how this would work was spot on. Pokemon Masters is not about collecting Pokemon, but building out and collecting teams of trainers, each of whom has one signature Pokemon, which they're now calling a sync pair.
Figures.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a given, but that was a good call on your part. But yeah, you'll have a team of 3 trainers. And you go into these 3-on-3 battles that use this kind of now real-time battle system instead of a turn-based one. And the strategy of it all is when you unleash your moves. It's kind of... It's kind of similar to Teppen, actually, because as you battle, there's going to be a move gauge that fills. And only once it fills the amount that you can use for each move can you use those moves. And you have to just kind of weigh the pros and cons of, do I want to use the weaker move that I can get to first, or do I want to wait and build the stronger one? Which is literally how the card placement in Teppen works. So that's kind of a funny parallel that I didn't even realize when I was putting this together.
Eating
because
lunch together, and maybe the devs are just eating lunch together, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this mechanic?" Like, oh, that sounds pretty cool.
And then they're like, "Wait," and they go back to the office. You're like, "Guys, Teppen's doing the thing. We should do the thing." And now here we are. But yeah, it was fun because like I was putting together, the notes on Pokemon Masters before I even tried Teppen. So now I'm like realizing as I'm looking at this, like, oh, it's literally the same. But what's actually, I guess you could say, the more Teppen-like in a way is the gauge isn't just limited to the Pokemon attacks. It sounds like DNA is actually giving trainers abilities too. Like what they're doing is Pokemon will do, it seems like, the offensive moves, not the offensive moves. Pokemon will flip them off with the gauge. No, Pokemon will be on offense, and trainers will be doing the more defensive stuff like stat boosting and healing and that sort of thing. So you actually will have a trainer button pop up when whatever times they have that it can pop up, and you can have you can command your trainers as well as your Pokemon. And then there's also at certain times going to be a special trainer Pokemon combo thing called a sync move. So, I don't know. What do you think?
Probably not enough to get me to download it. I mean, I care about the Pokemon, not so much the trainers.
Right.
I mean, Red is cool, Cynthia was cool from Diamond and Pearl, but yeah, I don't really care that much about the trainers.
It's funny.
If anything, I care more about the theme that accompanies the champions, but no.
Yeah, I will say, like, here's the... I mean, you were saying earlier you only got into Pokemon once Breeding was there because the battle system was elaborate enough. Meanwhile, I was in every step of the way, and surprise, surprise, I'm kind of into this. Like, looking back at Pokemon spin-offs, I actually can't think of any that are downright bad, with the exception of maybe, like, Pokemon Dash on the DS. So I have some faith that this will be pretty fun in its weird spin-off sort of way.
I'm sure it's going to be good in some way,
yeah,
but
it just doesn't resonate.
It's just the core mechanic I don't really care about.
Yeah, and I think the reason I have faith that this might be good is Pokemon Company's giving it such a huge push. Like when Pokemon Dash came out, it was pretty muted. So the fact that like Pokemon Company is this confident suggests there's hope. That's good. And honestly, like the concept of bringing together all the trainers from past games and from the anime, that's kind of fun. Like it's very much Pokemon's everyone is here moment. And they explain it in game by saying the trainers are all competing in this special Masters tournament on Artificial Island, which doesn't sound like the setup to any sort of evil big plot twist at all. But I do wonder how the hardcore fans are going to handle this, the diehard fans, because they're still kind of melting down about the national decks being left out of Pokemon Sword and Shield. So much so that the producer of Pokemon, Masuda, he actually put out a letter to fans about the lack of the national decks, which may have made things worse because he basically went like, no, which isn't really addressing concern. Now, I think we talked about this last episode a little, and I think we're on the same page that like,
who cares?
Yeah, like Game Freak, just stick to your guns. It's your vision. Do your thing. I can understand why some people are upset because Pokemon Home implied you could import Pokemon that now you can't, and like simultaneously, some Pokemon fans view the game as this ever-growing thing, while Game Freak's trying to now wean them off that perspective. But regardless of our take on how they should do it, like in some ways, good for Game Freak for sticking to their guns, but they probably could have done a bit more with that note, right? Like to just be like, nah. I feel like,
lied.
Well, not even lied, but they said in interviews all these reasons. Like, there's a lot more animation involved. And then people are, of course, making these dumb videos where like, look, the animations are imported directly from Sun and Moon, except they cut the animation short in the comparison video, and it actually has more beyond that.
One of my brother-in-laws, he showed me this, like, thread that I guess was happening around the time when they were saying, like, oh, man, these animations are so easy, or the model is so easy to make, I could do this in, like, 5 minutes. So then, like, people actually took that challenge to see.
And couldn't.
Yeah, and people were posting like their 5-minute like models and animations, and they clearly like the people that actually tried it now know like okay, like all right,
yeah,
there's more to it than just that, especially considering like there's a bunch of new Pokemon that we don't even know what most of them look like
but
yet.
some people are just arguing no, every Pokemon game said every Pokemon, this one should too. But I think there's a tipping point. Like there is a tipping point. They have almost 1,000 of these guys now. There's no way you can keep stacking Pokemon forever.
I mean, one of the tipping points was Black and White.
Yeah, they did a reset then.
They couldn't fit in all the Pokemon then. It wasn't until like Black 2 and White 2 that we probably got like most of them. I don't even know if all of them made it in. But like every Pokemon had like that was the first time they were all animated. Like they couldn't do that.
Yeah, and the fact is we all lived through that and survived and are better people for it probably. So we can do it again, guys. Just believe in Game Freak a bit. And I do get like some people are like, okay, fine, they can't do the animations with their current team. Why don't they hire more? It's just like, guys, yes, that's valid. You could just hire more, but that's not the vision of the game. They're doing a Black and White reset again. Like, accept it. And I think,
and it's gonna have more Pokemon than like any starting gen. So
like it's silly.
There's gonna be more Pokemon than you guys. I mean,
I said this last.
Will I be sad if Chatot doesn't make it? Sure, I'll be a little sad, but there'll be something else.
But then, of course, there's people that are saying, "Well, but why do you get to decide, Game Freak, if I get my Chatot? Why can't
game?"
I know there's an entitlement here that's still really frustrating to see. Like the Pokemon fan base. And I feel like we can say this because we're old school Pokemon fans. Like we were talking about our Pokemon fan cred a little bit ago. The Pokemon fan base is pretty toxic. I mean, every fan base is pretty toxic, but I feel like the Pokemon one is especially harsh these days. Like, look at the freak out about Let's Go. Guess what, guys? It's not like Let's Go delayed Sword and Shield. They were two separate games. You were still getting your Sword and Shield, and you're not even happy with that. But like, everyone freaking out like, oh, Pokemon Let's Go is dumb. Like, it's all like the gatekeeping and all that. I don't understand it. Like, don't play it if you don't want it.
Yeah, that's literally
it's like vote with your wallet if you really care. And clearly 10 million plus people bought Let's Go, so there were, myself included, so there were a lot of people that were happy with it. I was very happy with it. You did not buy it, and you're happy with your decision, and you're not like yelling at Game Freak for doing it.
I never once got mad at Game Freak. I don't. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so
I think
ridiculous.
the game looks great for what it is, but what it is not
what you want. Right, just like Pokemon Masters. And like maybe Pokemon's moving in a direction that isn't what a small subset of the fans want. Like maybe stuff like Sword and Shield and Pokemon Masters is more the future and they're not going to cater as much to the whatever it was they had before. But like that's kind of their prerogative. And I do think the one thing Game Freak could have done better is not just been like, no in the letter. Like that letter just like it was dying down a little. They put out the letter and it like just flared back up again because the letter didn't actually say anything. I think what they probably could have done is, and they don't have to, but if they just want to like shut up the fans, they probably could have explained it a bit better. Because like in interviews, like we were starting to say about the animation, in interviews at E3 and in Famitsu and stuff, they did outline why they're doing this. I feel like if they just put down like the letter in a more like official capacity, it would have at least been like, well, there's a reason. If I don't like the reason, but they gave a reason. Instead, they're just like, no. So yeah, that's kind of like, I think they mishandled that letter that they posted, but I think that their overall idea and goal is the right one to take. But that's just my 2 cents. What am I but a casual Pokemon fan in the eyes of everyone, really. But anyway, back to Pokemon Masters. I didn't mean to go on that little side tangent, just sort of popped up. But the one lingering question I do have about Pokemon Masters is arguably something that really can make or break the entire experience, and that is, what is the monetization scheme here? Because when you first floated the idea, Angel, about collecting trainers, I think you said at the time, you unlock them to gacha. Like, that's how you do it. You get random new trainers, and you have to, then fight with them. And that would make sense, but what's interesting is that the Pokemon Company seems to be skirting around that idea entirely because they keep talking up the story mode. And as of right now, multiplayer isn't even confirmed. So I'm kind of curious, like, as you go through the story, are you interacting with generic trainers? Are you unlocking trainers as you encounter them in the story? Do you only, do gacha to get the trainers, hypothetically, and then every trainer you face in-game is unrelated to the core trainers, the masters, if you will? Like, how's this going to work? Like, maybe some trainers are in the story and some are gacha, and you kind of do, like, a hybrid? And, like, what are the differences between the trainers? And, like, beyond their Pokemon, like, are the trainers going to have individual stat differences like Dr. Mario does with his doctors? And, depending on how all that shakes out, it could make for an either really fun experience or it could drag things down if it's all up to chance and randomization. So, I don't know. I mean, it'll be out sometime this summer. We'll know soon enough. Not like Dr. Mario soon. It's not coming out July 10th, but it will be out before the end of summer and we'll have some idea. So, I guess we just have to wait and see at this point.
Wait and see. Indeed.
Yeah, but while I'm asking a million rhetorical questions, let me throw in one more. Where's the mini Switch? Where's our Switch Mini? Where did that go? Where is that at?
Who wants it?
Well, here's the thing. going into E3, multiple sources, like Bloomberg here in the States, Nikkei in Japan, they were all saying there's an announcement coming in June. And Nintendo responded with like a, haha, not at E3 it won't, which, opened the door for any other time. Like the broader idea was still sound, it could be in June, but now here we are in July and there's still nothing. And I don't know if Nintendo changed their reveal date.
This is literally why, unless like there is official word anywhere, I really don't care or bother to look at what anyone says, especially like reporters.
Well, here's the thing: you're making the fake news argument. I feel like you're a step away from doing it. I don't think they got it wrong. I think something changed.
I'm not saying like it's wrong. It's just like I'm not gonna bother wasting like thoughts on it.
Well, the only reason I even bring it up is because like what happened is, it's one of gaming's worst kept secrets at this point. The thing's coming, but what makes it so funny to me is
then I guess we'll see when it does.
No, but the thing I thought was kind of funny, and the reason I was mentioning it is the other week Nintendo had their annual shareholders meeting where actual members of the public who own Nintendo shares are allowed to attend and ask questions. And, sometimes these questions are insightful and can lead to intriguing teases of what's to come. We'll get to one of those in a bit. And sometimes they're downright silly. Like there's one guy who used to every year ask could we get more Kirby? That's a real thing every year. And then this year there's actually a shareholder who, the final question of the meeting, he asked if he can receive passes to Super Nintendo World when it opens at Universal. So, these questions are dumb. But sometimes there's good questions. And one shareholder specifically brought up the rumors of the Switch Mini. He called it a new Switch form factor. And then Shantae Furukawa, Nintendo's president, he responded with, and I quote, "It will spoil the surprise for consumers if you shared any information." The surprise that's already been spoiled. The one we've been talking about for 2 months. He did go on to say it's also against shareholder interest for them to reveal it before they're ready and yada yada. And he led with the surprise thing, which just I find very funny. Like I'm kind of ribbing Nintendo here a bit. Like obviously they'll do it when they're good and ready. That's how it should be. It's their product. It's their timeline. We're just the customers. That's fine. But I just found it sort of amusing that he's saying, "Oh, we don't want to ruin the surprise. We're not going to con on the Switch Mini at all." But then simultaneously, as he's saying this, there's a drip feed of leaks coming out of Asia of like their Taiwanese memory chip supplier is upping their account because they're prepping for a new system, or like all these third party accessory makers in China are like putting out press releases like we have accessories for the new Switch Mini. And then the perhaps biggest, most legitimate leak is Big Ben. They're an accessory maker over in the UK, and their packaging for Switch Mini accessories leaked onto the web. And that, it's all suggests there's a Switch Mini coming down the pipeline, and Nintendo just keeps going like, maybe, who knows? But it's just like, yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny. So now the question becomes, though, when does this thing actually get an announcement?
When Nintendo announces it.
Correct. I guess my point is more like,
this year?
When will it, or not so much an announcement, when will it release at this point? Because I originally thought June made sense because they can tie in with the first 5-week onslaught. We had Mario Maker 2, we have Fire Emblem, we have Marvel Ultimate Alliance all coming out within a few weeks of each
Mario
other.
Maker 2 would have been good for kids.
I think so, and it's made for kids.
Assuming we even know what it is, if it's like just a handheld.
It's just a handheld. Yeah. So all the case leaks from Big Ben and whatnot, it's a handheld that looks like it's stitching the Joy-Cons. Yeah. So basically what we all suspected. But I'm now thinking like they could release it during their second wave of a 5-week dash of games in late August and September. Like, launching a new system alongside games like Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina that does guarantee extra attention for those titles, which makes them kind of perfect launch games. Like, it's in the same vein as how like a random game like Excite Truck was able to sell extremely well because it came out with the Wii. Or how Monster Hunter got a huge pick-me-up when the new 3DS came out because it was one of the launch titles. Or new 3DS XL, I should say. Or not new. It was just the 3DS XL. No, it was the new. Never mind. So yeah, like I feel like, they can launch it with Astral Chain and Daemon X Machina, and then a couple of weeks later you got the heavy hitters of Zelda Link's Awakening and Dragon Quest XI-S. Plus, like, Nintendo has released redesigned systems in August before. I mean, the 3DS XL, that came out in late August with New Super Mario Bros. 2 back in like 2012 or something. So there's history here. But yeah, it just seems like that I guess is the next goalpost. We just keep moving the goalpost. It was June. Now I'm guessing it may be August, which means we could find out about it in the next couple of weeks. Maybe they announce it this week and then it shows up at Comic-Con. They've done that with the Super Nintendo Mini and the NES Mini, so who knows? But I just thought it was funny that they went on this whole, no, we got to keep the surprise. Meanwhile, the whole world knows. The only people that don't know are like the competitors and what that exactly entails. And they probably do know because they have supply chain access. So who knows? But really, like...
Well, Nintendo knows.
Well, Nintendo knows, yeah. Some people know. Someone's uncle at Nintendo has told them, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. The uncle.
The uncle at Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, it's this sort of speculation is what makes the shareholder meeting like kind of fun and what it's good for. Because, like, obviously, if Nintendo didn't present anything up front in the meeting, they're not going to drop bombshells in a random answer. But they will give hints of what's going on behind the scenes because investors need, you know, something to chew on. And sure enough, they did that in a very peculiar way this time. Because it was an unexpected comment from Miyamoto, and he was talking about the futures of controllers, or the future of controllers, not the futures of a single controller. And yeah, the answer essentially stemmed from a shareholder asking whether Nintendo thinks staring at a screen with a controller in your hand is where gaming will always be. And then Miyamoto just kind of casually dropped a, hey, we're still getting weird with control ideas, which is kind of like, I thought we were past this. But anyway, to put it in his words, he believes, and I quote, we should quickly graduate from the current controller, and we are attempting all kinds of things. Our objective is to achieve an interface that surpasses...
Quickly graduate?
Yes.
I mean, the Pro Controller is great.
I know. Our objective is to achieve an interface that surpasses the current controller, where what the player does is directly reflected on a screen, and the user can clearly feel the result.
I mean, I already feel that way.
Right. He went on to say that they haven't achieved it yet. Like, he said motion controls were not the answer. Direct quote from Nintendo, which is the same Nintendo who 5 years ago said the opposite. They, quote, didn't work for all people. So, it's interesting how Nintendo's kind of flipped.
Well, as Microsoft seems to have figured out with the adaptive controller, I guess.
Well, I don't even know if they're saying, like... Yeah, I don't know
well, you know what? Nintendo or Miyamoto... I don't know. I love Miyamoto, past work, blah, 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 but, like... I don't know, I kind of lost a little faith in him.
Well,
last few years, so like if he's trying to redesign something,
I think you're taking this more as a bigger thing. So I think what he's saying is what we have currently are the best controllers we can get. He at one point literally said, let me see if I can find the quote. He at one point literally said something along the lines of, the current setup is the best in terms of accuracy and reliability. Buttons, D-pad, control stick. Someone's like, is that always the interface? And he's basically like, we're always experimenting because there could be better interfaces. Do we know? Right now, this is the best we've got. But yes, the fact that they're trying to find something else is, to your point, potentially questionable.
They said nothing, basically. So
well,
like
here,
all they said was like, oh... we have the best thing we can, but we're always thinking of better things.
Here's the nuance to it that I find interesting. Because essentially, here's the nuance I find interesting. As Mr. Armchair Analyst Nintendo fan over here, contrast what he said this time with the stuff Nintendo was saying about the Wii back in its prime. Like, back then, it's all about building a new way of play to get those blue ocean non-gamers into the fold. Give them a touchscreen, give them a Wii remote, and then, watch what happens. It'll change gaming forever. And so many of the games of that era... both ones aimed at that crowd and at us, the core fans, tried to leverage those concepts. You got stuff like Zelda DS with touch, or motion control with Metroid Prime 3, or Waggle with Mario Galaxy, or finite motions of Skyward Sword, and all that. Here, Nintendo's kind of being like, oh, no, actually, the touch or the buttons are the best. And it's just like, Nintendo always offered those buttons. They just de-emphasized them to the point that all their games were built around not using them. And now they're kind of like, well, actually, they're the best all along. We were just trying to sell you on something else. Like, it's very subtle, but the fact that he's like, oh yeah, the most accurate way of playing a game, the most reliable way of playing a game is buttons and sticks. But there's such a long part of Nintendo's history in the last decade where they're like, that is not the best way of play. Have you tried motion? Have you tried touch? Have you tried this? Have you tried that?
Well, and props for trying different things.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see them flip it, because now the motion is an add-on to the standard controls, opposed to the standard controls being an add-on to the motion and the touch.
Alright, but HD Rumble, that was necessary. That was like...
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's all it is, though. It's
I know.
really cool.
It's not necessary. Yeah, but the only reason I brought this up is, one, Nintendo's still being weird, to the point that they also confirm quality of life is not dead, the initiative for that product. It turns out the sleep tracker that Pokemon Sleep is using is not Nintendo's. Nintendo's quality of life thing is its own entirely separate thing. But, yeah, it just shows they're still, even though right now we're in, like, prime, like, Nintendo's about core games mode, there's a chance we won't be again. And they seem to just flip on a dime. Like, they could go from motion's the future to actually it was never the future to this new win button we created is the future. And that's kind of why I wanted to mention it, because I thought it was interesting that the narrative isn't as concrete as it seemed. Miyamoto's literally contradicting himself. So, just something to be mindful of, I guess. And keep an eye out. The sleep tracker lives on. The more you know. So anyway, that's pretty much it in terms of news. But there was some stuff we've been playing. What have you been playing lately? Anything to note?
I think I already mentioned everything. I mean, I talked about Crash and Tekken. That's been pretty much it. I mean, I played a little God of War, a little Resident Evil.
Little Smash Bros?
Yeah, a little Smash Brothers. I'll probably play some Smash Bros today, but yeah.
Well, I've been playing a bunch of new stuff, new releases. It sounded like I said new stuff, new releases. And I'll start, I guess, with the biggie that the show's named after, which is Super Mario Maker 2. I think the best way to sum this up is it's basically 2 steps forward, 1 step back, the game. And I realize that's a reversal of the usual expression. It's usually 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But it really does sum up the game well. Like, there's a bunch of stuff Mario Maker 2 does right. And then there's also some choices they made that just feel like kind of going in the wrong direction from the original. And I mean, obviously there's the whole multiplayer controversy leading into the release where as of right now you still can't play with friends online, but it's coming. But then at the same time it's like, oh, but hey, it's online. And that kind of dichotomy of it is really the embodiment of the whole game. Like, seriously, take the level editor, for example.
So I'm assuming the making of the games or the levels is what's actually improved, like just the straight up making.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, the level editor it's really good. There are a ton of options to choose from, and I really like what Nintendo's done with the interface. It feels very much like a Nintendo-fied design. You know, like little things like the undo button, that's a dog named Undog, because of course it is. Or like the full erase button, if you want to clear your stage, it's a rocket that counts down backwards. If you have to hold it down, it's very flashy and everything, you know, just so you don't mistakenly erase your stage. But it's in a fun way. But yeah, there's some really good overall menu improvements and building tools and whatnot. Like the new wheels for selecting items and enemies are really intuitive. It's touch-friendly in handheld mode, complete with like some 2-finger gestures, so you can jump around the stage really easily. It has co-op to build with a friend. Many of the new systems it introduces have led to some insanely creative levels already online. Like 2 mechanics in particular I wanted to mention were the switch buttons and the moon. The switches in particular have shown great versatility because they can be used both for like precision time speed running and for straight up puzzle segments. And I've noticed that in a lot of multiplayer stages, folks have created levels where you need to have different people in different corridors coordinate their switch pressing or do things where like, you know, one person has to stay in one place while someone else has to go somewhere else. Like it's pretty clever. And then for the speed runs, it's a lot of people have made stages where you just need to get the timing so precise to hit the switch to land on the thing it generates that there's a lot of interesting designs with that. And it's kind of funny because, like, you know, when it was announced, everyone's like, oh my god, slopes. They have slopes now. Holy crap, slopes. But yeah, no, the switches are the real game changer, at least right now. And then there's the moon too, which is really cool because the effect it has on things like gravity have led to some kind of clever designs. I mean, there's one particular one near the top of the chart. If you go into the online course browsing, it's basically a 2D Mario world or Mario Galaxy. I mean, and it's really well done. Like, it feels good, it looks good, it plays well. So there's some cool mechanics that come out of it. And you may have noticed that I specified there are multiplayer stages. That's another nice thing about Mario Maker 2's level editors, because as in the original, you can add tags when uploading levels to indicate what they are. And one of those tags is whether it's made specifically with multiplayer runs in mind or not, and the game will actually serve the correctly tagged levels in the respective modes you choose to play. I mean, it's a very much a well, duh, of course it will sort of thing, but I didn't really think about the fact that, oh yeah, if you do multiplayer, will there be levels designed just for multiplayer? Can people build things where you need to cooperatively or competitively do things as a group? And sure enough, that's something Nintendo thought of, and it's built in there, and you can filter by that, and when you go into the multiplayer modes, it only pulls from that. It's good. But all that said, I was building towards a but here, because it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And for all those great improvements and additions, you know, there's new tools to edit with, there's a better UI to do it. There's a big but, and that is they no longer allow you to edit levels you download. Now, for me personally, this isn't a huge deal. As I've said on the show before, I frankly am someone who is barely going to use level editor. I plan to instead dedicate my time to playing the content that others create. But even for me, the fact that you can't edit other people's stages is kind of problematic because it stifles a huge part of the level building community, which means that the output they produce, the levels that I play, will be affected by that. Because if you can't edit existing levels, you can't riff, you can't remix, you can't learn how someone figured out a new technique or trick and how they went about doing that. You can't apply that to yours. I mean, sure, you can like see the final product and kind of reverse engineer some of it, but it's a lot more work. You may not get the full picture. You're losing out on the kind of remix culture, so to speak, that could come out of this. And what's perplexing to me is that this was possible in Mario Maker 1. It's just not here in Mario Maker 2. And I guess on some level I understand where they're coming from. Like perhaps Nintendo had more issues with people re-uploading a cool level as their own than we know about. Like maybe it was a very frequent problem. And obviously you don't want that. It's the Mario Maker equivalent of clout chasing if you just steal someone's level. But if people really want to steal a level, they can still manually rebuild it. I mean, yeah, this will add a roadblock, but also roadblocks the collaborative opportunities that it can provide. So it's kind of like, I feel like they'd be better off letting it happen and then just monitoring. I wonder if it's a technical
thing or something, because it's the same thing in Smash Brothers. You can't edit levels that are already... You download it, and some levels are really good, but sometimes when I'm playing through them, I'm like, oh, this would be perfect if I could just...
Smashes?
I don't remember.
Because
But it also applies to the Miis. Like, if you download a Mii, specifically the Miis, it's like, oh, I love how these look, but I want my up B to be this. It's like, nope, I have to recreate that Mii.
Which is weird, because like I know there were clones of stages and Miis and whatnot in other Nintendo releases in the past, but like, is it that bad that they're going to cut off a whole like half of the creative process? It just seems extreme. I don't know. I think it
especially caters to the people that don't really want to design like a whole level from scratch. Like sometimes like I just said, like you might have an idea based on something that someone already made, or like a way to tweak it so that you like it better.
I think what's funny about it is when you boot up the game and get past the title screen, you're taken into a level, sort of. Like you can pick your menu, but you can also just edit that little like start of a level on the fly. And Nintendo has a pre-built level that you can edit as you see fit, right there at the title screen.
Oh, like
but they don't let you, exactly. But they don't let you then do that with other people's levels. But they kind of tease that you can go edit pre-made levels, which you can if they're Nintendo. You just can't if they're on the course world, which is weird.
Yeah.
I think another step back, although not nearly as severe, is that Mario Maker 2 is decidedly less weird than the first one. Like, honestly, one of the coolest things, in my opinion, with Mario Maker 1 is that Nintendo seemed to release it on a system where they knew only the diehard fans were paying attention. So they're just kind of like, screw it, let's get wacky, let's get weird, let's just throw whatever we want in there. Everything in the kitchen sink, doesn't matter. So, you got things like the mystery mushroom pop-up, where it would warp Mario's sprite into all sorts of odd shapes. Like, I miss you, Skinny Mario. Or like, the amiibo costumes that made sprite art of tons of Nintendo characters as pure fan service. There's no other reason for them to be there. Or like the rotation of like super odd title screens it used to go to. Or even things like you could play as a Mercedes SUV. Like there's all these bizarre things. They're little itty bitty things that don't really matter, but they built towards like a certain vibe in Mario Maker 1 that Mario Maker 2 doesn't have.
The amiibo exclusion is literally why I didn't get it, because that means I can't play as Bowser.
You would spend $60 to play as Bowser, but you will not spend $60 to not.
Yes.
Interesting. But yeah, like it that sort of thing.
That is correct.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying. But yeah, that sort of...
That is all.
Okay. That sort of thing, though, it seems... Like, it just... Mario Maker 2 doesn't feel like the wacky project some Nintendo employees are secretly working on the side and then kind of let us in on the secret. Mario Maker 1 kind of felt like that. Mario Maker 2 feels like a standard, polished video game release. And to be clear, it's not to say there aren't some oddities or fun random things to be had. But it's more like... Yeah, it's more like... curate. Like, obviously...
It's un-Nintendo.
No, I'd say this is very Nintendo. The other one felt un-Nintendo, and that's why it felt so special, because it felt weird. Like, not weird not weird like Nintendo weird. Weird like weirder than Nintendo weird. Because like Nintendo weird is like a curated weird. Like Nintendo weird is like charming weird. Like obviously the Bizarre World
like the WarioWare games? Because those also just feel really weird.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I guess I should say Mario Maker weird. Yeah, it went from being like a WarioWare to like a Mario in terms of how it does weird stuff. I mean, there's still some stuff. Like the Bizarre World of the Moon button, the enemy surprises, the anti-grav, all that. Like, that doesn't feel like normal Mario. I get that. And neither does, that you can platform as a go-kart, or in a go-kart. Or that the Mario Land, like, bouncing fireball is back. That was a cool surprise. The Super Ball, I think it's called. Or, you can trigger special events at certain points. Like, you can have applause or confetti or these giant console logos that flash when the music changes. Like, all that's there, and there's still occasional Easter eggs. Like, if you insert a door in your level builder and then start tapping it repeatedly, one of a couple dozen different Marios will pop out, including Skinny Mario, actually. So I don't miss him. He is there. They'll be there for a split second. But it all feels more like normal in a way. Because, like, it's again, it's one of those, like, one step back, two step forward things. Because, like, that stuff, like, they have little things, but it's not a big part of the game. And then what is a big part of the game is they add a whole lot of charm that wasn't there. Like, it's like polished charm. I don't know how better to describe this. There's, like, the super weird Nintendo that dominated Mario Maker 1, and it got replaced with, like, polished charm in Mario Maker 2. So, like...
Would you notice if you hadn't played Mario Maker 1?
No, it's fine. It's just comparison. That's why it's, like, a step back versus a problem. Because, like I'm happy to report the new story mode is actually really cool. It's contrary to what you thought. It is 100 actual fully fledged levels. They are not half-baked things you build on top of. They are real levels that you can play. And yeah, they introduce the mechanics as you go. You know, the switches, the angry sun, etc. But it is actual full levels. And for each level you complete, you then get coins, and you get either a preset amount of coins, a preset amount of coins when you go into the level if you beat it, and then any coins you collect in the level you also get to keep, and those all go towards building Peach's castle back up. It goes into a fund that used to rebuild it piece by piece. But what I like is that it is charming in a more traditional Nintendo way. So, you know, you choose your stages by talking to this construction chief Toad, and each stage comes from an imaginary person like a meteorologist or a eccentric millionaire, and that not only fits into the stage's theme, but it has a matching level description that the folks at the Treehouse clearly had fun writing. Like, those are kind of amusing. And there's banter between all the construction toads, like things about like the pros and cons of unionization, and at one point there's a frog with a disco ball. So it's all very silly. It's just not as weird, if that makes sense. It's hard to put into words what I'm saying, but it's just like a different feeling. And then separate from that, there's also the online mode, which of course is a huge step forward when it works. The number one problem I've encountered is how well or not well it performs. How lag free or not free it can be. Yeah, it varies pretty wildly. So one co-op or competitive bout can be super smooth, and then the next can be super laggy, and you barely get past the first platform as a result, and it's really janky. But more often than not, it's good enough to play. But it does dip down into unplayable with enough frequency that I felt I had to mention it. Which really is too bad, because like how they set up online is pretty cool. You can either do a co-op or competitive play, and regardless of the instance, you're basically matched with 3 other random people. You get sent to a randomly chosen stage, tagged for that specific mode, and whoever reaches the goal first wins the round if it's competitive. But what's neat is Nintendo also lets you send pre-written messages. So like if someone is in competitive and beats it, there is a how did you do that? Like there are those sorts of like reactions already built into the game. And as soon as the round ends, you get to jump straight into another if you want, or you can bail out. But for every one that you win, you earn points towards your overall grade, which goes from D to C to B to A, etc. And for every loss, they subtract a small subset of points. That's very much like, you know, any other Nintendo Online game. And all these factor into a global rank number you have, which is the leaderboard that led to the controversy about the online friend play. But what I really like is whether you do online multiplayer or like you choose a course world, or not course world, endless course option to just do endless single player. You're basically given a never-ending shuffle of Mario stages. Like 100-Man Mario is out. It's just endless now, which is cool. And at the end of it, you get to rank what you thought of the stage, both in multiplayer and single player. And if you're doing the single player, you even get to leave Miiverse-style drawings and stamps and notes and whatnot for the creator. And I assume all these rankings and comments and stuff actually will help improve what stages get picked as time goes on, as it kind of whittles down the good stages. So it's cool. It's like that they did a lot right, but again, example one step back, they did so much right, but then you can't browse the levels in the Switch Online app. You can browse Smashes in Smash World. The original Mario Maker literally had a website called, what was it, like Super Mario Bookmark or something, that you could go on a
mobile app?
What?
This one doesn't have a mobile companion?
No, not at all. That's what I'm saying. So weird.
Like, perfect for it. Wow.
Again, this isn't exactly a one step back because they never had a mobile app, but they have the website.
They have the infrastructure. It's so nice to browse stages and Mii's on Smash Brothers.
I know, and it's like this would be. I mean, literally, the Mario bookmark site for the original game is still up. You can still go there and bookmark stages and then go to Mario Maker on Wii U and download stages. You cannot do anything of the sort with the sequel. And given that there are 10 million Switch Online accounts right now, it's not like there's not a big enough audience for them to make it worth their while. They could do it. But they just haven't yet. Maybe it'll come in future updates. The nice thing about Nintendo these days is they keep pushing out updates for things. So we may get a lot of fixes to what I'm talking about. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, overall, there's way more to like about Mario Maker 2 than there is to dislike. You got the whole 100 stages of the single player mode. the ability to do an endless mode. You can build your own. So, like, on that level, no pun intended, I recommend it. I just wish there were a few things Nintendo maybe did a bit differently or better, which hopefully they'll patch in the future like they're doing with online friend play. But I wouldn't say any of the drawbacks should stop you from buying the game if you have any interest. Just be aware of them. So that's game number 1 I was playing. Game number 2 is Cadence of Hyrule, which has big shoes to fill because it, as I said at the top of the show, is the very first indie game made with a Nintendo IP. And not just like any Nintendo IP.
I was going to say because the first one was such a big... such a big popular game. Like
that too. Yeah, in the indie world, it has a reputation to live up to as well. That's true. I didn't even think of it from outside.
I mean, I haven't played this one. I played the first one, but overall, like a few people that I know that I've talked to that have beaten this one have said that it's not as good as the first one. But it's also because
they
it's just
simplified.
different.
They made things a little easier because they Zelda-fied some stuff, which makes it less of a roguelike.
Yeah, if anything, it sounds more like, if you're curious about Dance of the NecroDancer, you should play this one first, get a taste of it, and then play the other one.
And I think I think Crypt and NecroDancer is actually on sale still, so you could get this and then play that after. Yeah, but I do need to point out, I kind of suck at this. Like it's more of a me problem. No, I mean more so than most games.
What?
More so than most games. Let me put a disclaimer. Hi, I'm Jason.
Wow.
I'm mediocre to. I'm mediocre to meh at video games.
It's not
this
true.
one, I'm under that.
It's not possible.
It's very possible.
Huh. Well, anyway.
But this is more of a me problem than a Cadence of Hyrule problem, obviously. I mean, I've come to realize I just don't have rhythm. But the basic gameplay is the same as Crypt and NecroDancer for those who have played that. Everything moves in time with the rhythm of, whatever song is playing, your movement, your actions. All the on-screen enemies, they're all kind of in sync to the music. The idea is that you're essentially participating in this elaborate dance with everyone on screen, all kept to the beat with a meter that displays along the bottom. And as you dance through it, you'll start to see that, there are different enemies. They have different tells for their attacks, like some may lunge a certain way or perform a certain animation to beat before their move. Others will move in certain preset ways, like, maybe they only charge at you if you cross their path, or they bounce between a few set spots. It all sort of becomes like part of the dance, if you will. And it's if anything, it's more like it's more like a rhythmic game of chess, where you need to like outmaneuver the enemy and attack them, again, all to a beat. So, and that's even more so actually because the actions you take are automatic. Like if you go towards an enemy, Link will stab them when you move on the next beat. And again, like chess, it's all kind of on a checkerboard, and what you do is driven by those squares. So more powerful items you get as you go through the game, for example, those can span multiple squares or go diagonal across them. And, the sword you get at the start, which actually you can play the whole game with, from my understanding, that sword can only go one square, whichever direction you're facing. So there's kind of, that's how the power-ups work, so to speak, is that like you have the squares and everything it gets you to more squares. And in the instances where I was able to lock in with the rhythm and really get a groove going, it felt great. Like once you're in the zone, it's great. My problem is I just can't stay on rhythm, and for every beat missed, there's a quick pause in your movement, yet not for your enemies. That's kind of the punishment, meaning that now the dance is skewed against me, and they get a move and attack or whatever, but I don't, and that puts me at a disadvantage. Luckily, Brace Yourself Games, the developers, they were smart enough to realize that some folks like me don't have rhythm, and they actually include an option called Fixed Beat Mode, where you don't need to stay on beat. When you move, the enemy moves, and the music is just sort of there as background. What's particularly nice about this is you don't miss out on any of the game features should you choose to do this mode. It's the exact same game, right down to the fact that there are online leaderboards with daily challenges, and they have a set of leaderboards for Fixed Beat Mode, and they have a set of leaderboards for the full regular game. So you're not hindering anything or losing out on anything if you choose to turn on Fixed Beat Mode. So far, I have not done that. My argument in my head, which is dumb, is it's a rhythm game. I should power through it as best I can because, like, it's made to be played to the music, so thus I must have to play it to the music. It's the same stubborn mindset that, like, I don't know if you remember the first year when Smash Bros. Brawl came out on Wii, and I insisted on only playing with the Wiimote and Nunchuck because that's the controller of the platform, of the game's platform. I have to use that. That's the standard way to play it. There's no other option. I'm having that exact same sort of thing with, like, well, it's a rhythm game. I gotta do it. But I'm thinking I may cave soon.
Even if it means I can't get through it.
Exactly. But no, I'm thinking I may cave soon because I don't want to miss out on the full game experience just because I don't have rhythm. Like, the rest of the game, from what I've played so far, is really well done. It is kind of a mix of, like, a traditional Zelda and a roguelike. So, like, each time you start a new file, the general overworld kind of slides between all these different tiles. And it is very much like an old Zelda, but the tiles are shuffled, and then each screen has its own enemies and whatnot. And then as you travel around, you find and beat these 4 dungeons, all of which are fully procedurally generated and contain all sorts of different music riffs on Zelda enemies with their bosses and whatnot. Like this one's in the trailer, so I think everyone's seen it. But there's a Goma with maracas, who's apparently renamed to Go Maracas. It's like little things like that. Or there's the one with the guitar. Like, it's cool. But the other roguelike element is the disposability of some weapons. So things like torches, glass weapons, those can all break or be used up. And if you die, you also lose them. But what's kind of nice is, and this sort of bridges it with like traditional Zelda, is you only lose non-vital weapons, things you can't get back. So you lose torches, you lose glass weapons, you lose your rupees, you lose your shovels, you lose any keys you collected. But you keep, and this might be why some people think Crypt is better because it's more of a true roguelike, you keep your more significant items. You keep traditional stuff like if you get the hook shot or the boomerang or what have you. And the game also gives you diamonds, depending on how long you can stay on beat while defeating enemies, that you can then spend at the start of every new turn when you die on more temporary items to replace the ones you just lost. So you're not really ever at a huge disadvantage if you fail. Like, it never feels bad to fail, minus the need to just repeat what you already did. Like, they help you out and give you things. Now, granted, if you want to be harder, you can just not spend the diamonds. But the fact that they give that, at least I appreciate. And those Zelda tropes, things like the hook shot and the boomerang, those extend to the overall feel of the game too. Because, yeah, it plays like Crypt, but it surprisingly feels very much like Zelda in structure. Like the dungeons, the overworld, the various little nods and Easter eggs. It's all very Zelda. Perhaps even more so than I expected. Like, I think even the inclusion of co-op, which is cool. You can do it... 2 people can play through the whole game together. It doesn't even feel out of place for a Zelda game because Four Swords did it, Triforce Heroes did it. Really, the only thing that I guess feels un-Zelda is the fact that you can actually play as Zelda right from the start, which is very un-Zelda, but it's a cool thing that they did. So I think, lastly, of course, what helps with it is the music. It's really, really good. Like, on some level, I almost want to recommend buying the game just to be able for you guys to like hear the songs as you explore Hyrule. Like, they're really good. And I think part of what makes it work so well is how the tracks, like, they kind of blend and mix into each other really seamlessly. And even with things like what's happening on screen, like if you go in from a screen with no enemies to one full of enemies, the music ramps up in intensity in a really organic way, but pretty much instantly. It's really cool. So whatever song is playing is suddenly way different, like has guitars added or other stuff that wasn't there a second ago, and then the tracks just blend together so well. The music's really cool, and really, like, whether or not you have rhythm like me, you're in for a treat, like, especially if you're a big Zelda fan. And the fact that they do offer the fixed beat mode leaves pretty much no excuse for not trying the game, because if you can't get through the rhythm, you can still just enjoy the music. And, like, honestly, it's just a cool spin on Zelda. It also, if you were to pick it up, sends a message to Nintendo that, hey, we, the fans, are open to these sort of, like, unexpected collaborations. So I would recommend checking it out for those reasons. The music's great. The game feels more Zelda than you expect, but is very unique in its own way because of the enemy mechanics and, yeah, just the music. So that's Cadence of Hyrule. Personally, for me...
wait, there's more.
There is, because personally for me, the timing of...
Please don't go.
The game... Hey, they're not going anywhere. But, no, I was going to say, personally for me, the timing of the game's release also just worked out really well, because at E3, the fine folks at Human Things reached out to me about trying out their Genki Bluetooth audio adapter for Switch, and then provide me with one of their combo kits, which was very nice.
Gotta love that name.
Yeah. Human Things or Genki?
Human Things?
Yeah, it's a pretty solid name. But, so it's kind of like, what better way to try out wireless Bluetooth for Switch, and with a music game like Cadence of Hyrule, as well as like the time sync of Mario Maker 2. So I gotta try it with both. And if you think about it, like, before we even get into Genki, if you think about it, it is odd that the Switch, which totally supports Bluetooth, it's what the Joy-Cons use, doesn't support actual Bluetooth headphones. Never did. You're stuck, like, wiring them in. So a number of companies, beyond just Genki, looked into perhaps releasing dongles that let you use Bluetooth. But Genki was the first one on Kickstarter, and it's specifically designed for Switch, not just a retrofit of a USB-C adapter. And they raised like $500,000 because it's like made for Switch. And what's kind of funny is, like, I didn't ever really see the need for something like this initially. Like, I have a pair of wireless Beat Studio 3s, but I keep the original, like the aux cord it comes with, right next to them anyway, so I would just plug it in when playing Switch. But now that I've started using the Genki, like, I don't know if I can go back. Like, it's so much nicer. And I mean, my mom used to have this idea that she called the microwave theory of life, which is the thinking that you're able to get by without a microwave, no problem. You can cook stuff in the oven. You can boil water on a stovetop. But then once you get a microwave, you can't go back to not having a microwave. Like, the convenience is just too good. You just can't. So, like, that's kind of what switching to a proper wireless Bluetooth headset is like with the Switch. Like, now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, why would I want to fish around with a cord all the time? I can just pop this thing in and I'm good to go. So, part of the reason I feel that way
yeah, I mean, say what you will about the not that great looking AirPods, but once you have AirPods or any kind of wireless like headphones, like, you kind of put up with it. Like, I don't I didn't like how they looked at all. I went like almost a year without getting them, but then eventually, like, I just got them because I didn't have.
And the convenience is just so awesome.
Yeah,
right?
like, I didn't want to bother with the dongle, and because obviously, like, my phone doesn't have an earphone jack. But once I got them, it's like, yeah, this is just way too. And not to mention the fact that I could easily switch them. Like, they automatically sync with all my data because I have an iPad and an iMac.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not?
And you know what's nice is my Beats have the same W1 chip as your AirPods, and it works just fine with the Genki. Like, you sync it, you're good to go, and then when you go back to your Mac, you just turn it back on to the Mac, and then it jumps between all your iDevices as usual. So it doesn't, like, overwrite or do anything weird. Like, it all plays nice. And part of the reason that, like, I'm like, oh, I'm never going back is besides just it's wireless. It's like Genki just works. Like, it works well. You plug it in to the bottom of your Switch via USB-C. You sync it by pressing the buttons on the side, which rather cutely match the color scheme of the Switch. So you can either get, like, a unit with blue and red neon or with gray, and then you just sync right up and you're good to go. And the only thing is, depending on your headphones, there may be the slightest of lag in the audio. Some headphones support low latency formats that others don't, so you have to be mindful of that. Like mine, for example, my Beats do not support the low latency format from my understanding. But it was almost completely unnoticeable. Like, it was fine. And before you ask, because I know someone out there is thinking, no, I don't think that small lag is why I was bad at Cadence of Hyrule, because I played it both with and without headphones and was equally terrible. So it's not it's not the lag. It's not noticeable enough to really drag me down that way. But I do think one particular nice thing about Genki is
Cadence of Hyrule does have like a kind of generous window for you to press the button. So even if like it is slightly off, like it won't really make that much of a difference. You just adjust to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I do think the one thing that stands out about Genki versus just any old adapter is it's built for the Switch. It's built with the Switch in mind. It cares what the Switch needs. So that means you can sync two pairs of headphones to use simultaneously, so you can play multiplayer. It means the dongle itself has a USB-C port pass-through, so you can charge your Switch while using it. It means that because it's USB-C, it doesn't require any battery. It just uses the Switch's power. And if you get the combo pack that I got, it also includes a few other accessories also catered to Switch. So there's a mini boom mic you can plug into the aux jack of the Switch for voice chatting while playing. It, at least in games that support it, like Fortnite. Support on the device versus using the app. There's a nifty stand it comes with. It kind of looks like an easel, and it's designed to address the fact that if you are using the dongle, the Switch can't use kickstand mode because the dongle makes it too, it's too big, too tall. But this easel takes care of that, and it comes right in there. And then there's also, this one's kind of cool. There is a second adapter in the box, and you can plug it into the back of your Switch dock and then play your TV wirelessly through your headphones. Wow. So if you're like, if you need to be quiet, you have a way to still play. So it's just really a well thought out, well executed package all around. Like, literally the package itself is nice. It comes in a Switch plastic case, kinda same height, same red spine. Has little compartments for every item. Actually has 4 slots to stick game cartridges included as well, so you just carry around this case. Like, you could tell this thing was made by Switch fans and for Switch fans. And basically if you're interested, the main adapter is $50. If you want the combo with the TV dock adapter and the easel and the mic, it's $70. The prices are admittedly a bit up there, but you get what you pay for. The build quality is really solid. I have no issues with that. They work exactly as advertised. It just boils down to like whether your existing Bluetooth headphones have support for low latency
Nintendo
tech.
Nintendo an update to make them all compatible.
No, they support USB. Actually, interesting, when you plug it in, the volume rocker specifically says USB-C.
No, I know. I mean, like, and then the Switch will just release an update that will just make it so you don't even have to use a dongle.
Potentially.
But
in the meantime, who knows when that'll happen.
It's different than the Apple thing, like the whole sidecar with other
or like when they Sherlock something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always the risk you run when you buy an unofficial product. But like, as far as unofficial products go,
it's the best you can get rid of.
This is and it feels pretty like native to it, even though it's from a third party. So it really, like I said, it boils down to your low latency tech on your headphones and whether that matters to you, and it boils down to whether you want to pay that much. But I think it's great for what it is. So if if you're in the market for it. I always am of the belief that you should get the best quality product you can get. So that's where that is. And with that, we have one more order of business to get to before we're done, and that is our Twitter giveaway. So we, on Twitter like a week ago, put up some keychains, 2 of them, from E3. They are for Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Nintendo's getting them out if you played the demo, as well as if you went to the Best Buy events. So they weren't exclusive to E3, but they're close enough. And we have to pick 2 winners. So our 2 winners are, I sort of already picked them. Winner number 1 is Kurt Bop at KurtBop6. And winner number 2, I just realized I forgot to write down. So I'm literally going through it right now and grabbing it. I'm just going to pick someone at random here. Here we go. We'll go with this guy. We're going to go with Frank. At Frank from Patty's. Yes, it's just Always Sunny account. I should probably make sure this isn't a bot. Either way, we'll figure it out. Those 2 are our initial winners. Congrats to both of you. If one of you isn't real, I'm pretty sure Kurt is. I don't know about Frank from Sunny from Philly. If one of you isn't from Patty's, if one of you isn't real, we'll find another winner and we'll announce these on Twitter as well, the winners, once we get in contact with you guys. But thanks for entering, everyone. All it took was a retweet. I would encourage you to keep following us around town because you never know when we may do another Twitter giveaway. And it's also a great way to get updates on our next episode, which will be another convention episode, but this time Comic-Con. And at Comic-Con tends to have a pretty big presence. So we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with impressions from the show, news, and who knows whatever whatever else Nintendo's doing. Given that Comic-Con runs through the weekend we'd normally be recording on, going to be a couple of days late, the episode. I'm thinking probably around the July 23rd, which is a Tuesday. So keep an eye out for that to make sure you don't miss it. Again, you can follow us on Twitter at Nintendo. You can subscribe to us on any or all the podcasting apps, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. If LinkedIn has a podcast platform, we're probably there too. I don't know. But yeah, do that. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube. Our channel is RamNintendo.com. And that's how you ensure you don't see it, or that you will see it, that you do see it. And if you want our individual, real-time Comic-Con happenings, I'm at JSR7 on Twitter. Angel is Weiro, WEIRO_O. And with that, we still got a day of Anime Expo to go to. So I guess we're going to go do that.